Good evening, everyone. Start हो गई class? Dinesh, start हो गई? Okay. So, did we complete all the 4 answers? How many of you have completed, like written all 4 answers? Abhi we only 3-4 people. What about rest of 96 people? सारे नहीं हो पाए? How many were you able to complete? 3.5. That's 3 only. Completion of only 3 things, 3 questions have happened. कोई बात नहीं. The point is, you have to understand that you will have to complete 4 answers in this period only in the examination. So you have to learn to either reduce the content that you're writing in your answer or increase the speed. I'm hoping that when you do it for 100 days continuously, you are able to improve it, and it will be able to help. It will help you to also understand that we do not need to write a lot of content, or we do not need to learn a lot of new content. Already we know everything that is needed for writing good answers. It's just that we have to recall and use those points here. So let us quickly discuss these questions. First question was, discuss the potential of millets in contributing to climate resilient agriculture and conservation of agrobiodiversity. Climate resilient agriculture and conservation of agrobiodiversity. Introduction. Who did complete? You completed it, right? What is the introduction that you wrote? Okay. Nice. A context दे दिया. What I could have done was on this line, an introduction could have been, the United Nations declared year 2023 as the International Year of Millet. It was done to increase awareness about the significance of millet in promoting climate resilient agriculture and biodiversity protection. आप उससे क्वेश्चन से कनेक्ट कर सकते हो, because this was also one of the key aspect. You could have connected the introduction with the question, or you could have just said it was done to increase awareness about the significance of millets for climate resilient agriculture and nutritional security. Nutritional security was a key thing. इतना लिख सकते थे. This was our introduction. What kind of introduction? Context दे दिया हमने. International Year of Millet वाला context दे दिया. This is a very good, relevant introduction. क्या? Are we all comfortable here? है ना? ये introduction तो we could have easily written. First point. Second, you could have defined what millet is. है ना? But this context-based introduction makes more sense, because यहाँ पे we need not define it. But you could have said कि millets are coarse grain which include ज्वार, बाजरा, ragi, kutki, and all those things. That could have been the introduction. Are we all comfortable? Introduction, और किसी ने कोई दूसरा introduction लिखा हो? Yes, what did you write? इंडस्ट्रियल एरा में कैसे, प्री इंडस्ट्रियल एरा में कैसे पहुंच गए? हाँ, प्री ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन एरा में इंडिया में मिलेट का प्रोडक्शन ज्यादा था. ओके, ऐसा कुछ क्या एग्जैक्टली पढ़ के बताओ ना. अच्छा, इन्होंने मिलेट का प्रोडक्शन रिड्यूस हो गया उस डेटा के साथ इंट्रोड्यूस किया. ठीक है, दिस इज आल्सो ओके वे ऑफ इंट्रोड्यूसिंग. नाउ विल कम टू हाउ मिलेट्स कैन, विल राइट एन हेडिंग अबाउट the core part of the answer. Millets can contribute in climate resilient agriculture and what is the other thing? Conservation of agrobiodiversity in the following ways. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How climate, पहले climate resilient agriculture को कैसे millet promote करेगा? We have to write that. Really sorry. You could have spoken about how millets are generally drought resistant. They'll be consuming lesser water. Climate resilient बन रहा है ना? Millets can contribute in our fight against depleting groundwater. Millets can sustain more heat, and with climate change, it will be a crop which will be more adaptable. We could have also talked about millets could be a important source for crop for agri diversification, thus reducing the challenges which are coming from monoculture or rice wheat cropping system. Resilient to climate change wale point mein, these are the things that could have been written, and usi mein, like we'll continue because we also have to talk about how agro biodiversity can be ensured. So diversification wala ek point hai, that is promoting agro biodiversity. In what other way can millet contribute to agro biodiversity? See, millet is not one crop. Millet itself consists of jawar, bajra, ragi, kutki, and all those names. If we promote cultivation of different kinds of millets suitable for different parts of the country, agrobiodiversity in this sense gets cultivated. This gets promoted. Then, ye baat samajh mein, when millets is helping environment, millets is also helping pollinators, and those pollinators are also crucial for promoting agrobiodiversity. 6-7 points ho gaye. But the question is not elaborate. Question is discuss. जब elaborate करने को बोला होता तो we would have just written कि how millets are contributing to climate resilient agriculture, how millets are contributing to agrobiodiversity. But the question is discuss. When the question is about discussing it, so you may also talk about it may be facing some problems right now and how do we resolve those problems. Because in discussing, while discussion will say, but right now millet is not doing all this, or millet is not able to do all this because its cultivation is very less in the country. So what should be done to promote millet cultivation? हम diversification कैसे promote कर? If you remember, there are two things. One is increasing the production of millet. Second is increasing the demand of millet. हमने ये दोनों चीजें क्लास में डिस्कस करी हैं. In very short, because we do not have a lot of space, in very short, you have to talk about this कि हमें diversification promote करना पड़ेगा. We'll have to develop high yielding varieties. ये सब किसके लिए है? Production increase करने के लिए millet के लिए. Then perhaps Baranat system kind of thing needs to revived. Traditional agricultural practices, we spoke about it. At the same time, consumer awareness, development of food products which are innovative. यहाँ पे startups का role could be crucial. Right? बात समझ में? Easy question, not that difficult question. It's just जो पढ़ा है उसको apply करना है. So we're comfortable with intro. We're comfortable with what has to be written. Now, how do we conclude this? Discuss the potential of millet in contributing to climate resilient agriculture and conservation of agrobiodiversity. इस क्वेश्चन में आपने conclusion क्या कैसे लिखा? How did you conclude it? हमने demands तो सारी fulfill कर ली, right? How did you conclude? How did you conclude it? Sorry? आपने वे फॉरवर्ड का एक पॉइंट लिख दिया है उसमें, ठीक है? गिव मी हाउ डिड यू कंक्लूड? बहुत जनरल कैसे? अच्छा ठीक है, एक जनरल सा इंट्रोडक्शन देखो. वन वे विच विल लर्न टुडे हम कंक्लूजन कैसे लिखें वो ये है. देखो, इन दिस क्वेश्चन यू हैव टू डिफरेंट पार्ट्स वेयर वंस यू रिकॉग्नाइज द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ मिलेट एंड दूसरा यू सजेस्टेड स्टेप्स दैट शुड बी टेकन टू इंक्रीज द पेनिट्रेशन ऑफ मिलेट. तो आपका कंक्लूजन पता है कैसा हो सकता है? अब दोनों पार्ट्स को उसके अंदर डालो. बोलो पहला फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ योर आंसर वाज व्हाट? रिकॉग्नाइजिंग द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ मिलेट in agrobiodiversity conservation and climate resilient agriculture. Second was investing in promoting diversification, developing new varieties, in developing new products. Second was steps that you need to take. है ना? So your conclusion could be by recognizing the significance of millet and investing in increasing its cultivation, we can take our agri system towards a more sustainable future. बात समझ में आई? आपने दोनों पार्ट्स को अपने कंक्लूजन में डाला. एक छोटा सा वन लाइन में यू हैव बीन एबल टू कंक्लूड योर आंसर. रिपीट क्या? अरे ये कुछ वैसा नहीं था, मैं खुद भी रिपीट नहीं कर पाऊंगा. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग बोथ द पार्ट्स ऑफ योर आंसर. इन द फर्स्ट पार्ट व्हाट आर वी डूइंग? वी आर रिकॉग्नाइजिंग द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ मिलेट्स. In the second part, we are suggesting to take steps for increasing the demand and supply of increasing the production and demand of millet. तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ conclusion में, the conclusion is what? Whatever you have written, उसको summarize कर देना. That is conclusion. How will I do that? I will say by recognizing the significance of millet and by investing in its increased production and demand. By increasing its production and demand, we can take our agriculture system towards a more sustainable future. अब जो मैंने पहले बोला और अभी बोला, they are not the slightly different, but the idea is same. Because I'm not talking about a made up conclusion. I'm saying we can make conclusions from, conclusion is what? Summarizing whatever you have said in very short, in 1 line or 2 lines. So हाँ, नहीं देखो, फर्स्ट पार्ट इज मिलेट्स आर सिग्निफिकेंट, है ना, यही पूछा था. देन द क्वेश्चन इज डिस्कस. व्हेन वी आर डिस्कसिंग इट, you can also suggest how can we achieve this. When you will be discussing it, if it was just explain, elaborate, these directive words are telling you कि बस जो पूछा है उसको ही explain करो, उसको elaborate करो. But when you are said discuss, so in discussion we also say कि how we can achieve this, how we can achieve this significance. In discuss, if there were some negative points about millet, we could have said at the same time increasing cultivation of millets may lead to these problems. एक balanced conclusion लिखते. तो discuss is a different directive word when compared to elaborate or explain. Fine, बात समझ में आई. देखो एक तरीका how we should be concluding. I do not want to bombard you with all the different ways of concluding answer on very first day, but when you learn this, you'll realize कि कोई भी आंसर आप लिख रहे हो, conclusion is not that difficult. आंसर में 2 पार्ट्स हैं, दोनों को कनेक्ट करके कंक्लूजन में. It will remain relevant. It will summarize what you have written. Right? Got it? First question, will all of us be able to write a good answer? I'm hoping most of you have written a good answer, but इस तरह से हम improve करेंगे. Now, second question. Why? अच्छा, there are online students also. They may have also certain things. Ansu is saying, sir, second question में doubt है. अच्छा, अभी पागल. Soil health, MSP procurement, changes in consumption. Millet should be promoted due to increasing monoculture and its associated problems to make agriculture sustainable. ठीक है, general things. Let's now come to question number 2. Why has India remained highly dependent on edible oil import? In what ways can the National Mission on Edible Oil Palm, reduce this import dependency? Two question. अब देखो 10 marks, 150 words, 2 parts. इसमें बस जो 2 parts पूछे ना, बता दो, समझा दो, because you'll not have time to write anything else. In this question, how do we introduce? देखो, question is, why has India remained import dependent? In introduction, explain that we are import dependent. है ना? फिर हमारा main part of the answer आएगा, why are we import dependent? But in introduction, explain that we are import dependent. How can we explain? Data. है ना? India, for its edible oil, is 60% of edible oil that we consume, we import it. ये हो सकता है, या फिर you can say कि in financial year 2023-24, India produced 41 million tons of data. First lecture where we talked about different crops that we produced 41 million tons of oil seeds and around 13 million tons of edible oil. But this was only around 40% of our requirement. For 60% of our need, we were import dependent. The main reasons for India's import dependency are 1, 2, 3, 4. Introduction पर छोटा सा भी लिख सकते हैं कि we produced around 13 million tons of oil in 2023-24, but this was only around 40% of our requirement. For 60%, for majority of our oil needs, edible oil needs, we were import dependent. छोटा करके, what are the reasons? Introduction clear? will all of us be able to देखो in this kind of question, why is this the problem? First explain the problem and then we'll give reasons for the problem. Is an introduction. Does it make sense? Why data-based introduction here made sense? Are we all by data we are saying कि देखो this problem exists? क्या हो गया आज? एसी की वजह से नहीं हुआ है. आपदा में अवसर. हाँ. So introduction is clear. We'll all be able to write a good intro here. Now, what is the question? Why has India remained highly dependent on? तो अपना heading आएगा reason for India's high dependency on edible oil import. पहला, low yield of oil seeds in India. Did we study this? Yield कम है तो हमें yield कम है तो our oil seeds oil's cost is also higher. So poor competitiveness leads to India importing cheaper oil. Is it making sense? Then other general things that we talk about, MSP regime in India has mostly promoted wheat and rice and discouraged the cultivation of things like pulse, oil seeds, etc. ये कुछ जेन्युइन वैसे पॉइंट्स हैं और क्या लिखा है बताइए आप लोगों ने क्या लिखा? हाँ, इंक्रीजिंग पॉपुलेशन एंड डिमांड. इंडिया का पॉपुलेशन जैसे जैसे बढ़ रहा है, सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन जैसे जैसे चेंज हो रहा है, डिमांड ऑफ ऑयल सीड इज गोइंग अप. हमने पहले बोला प्रोडक्शन इज नॉट इंक्रीजिंग, डिमांड इज इंक्रीजिंग, तो वी आर बिकमिंग इंपोर्ट डिपेंडेंट. देन हाई वाटर रिक्वायरमेंट, ऑयल सीड. देखो और भी पॉइंट्स है, देखो इफ यू रिमेंबर genetically modified oil seeds which have been developed have yet not been approved, whereas we end up importing most of the genetically modified oil. 4-5 पॉइंट्स हो गए है ना. और कुछ इसके बियॉन्ड यू मे हैव, इफ यू मे हैव रिटन, बताइए. वोलेटाइल मार्केट कैन बी वन थिंग, प्राइसेस बहुत फ्लक्चुएट होती थी. एब्सेंस ऑफ, वो तो एमएसपी वाले रिजीम में आ गया ना. एमएसपी रिजीम में वी आर मोस्टली प्रोक्योरिंग wheat and rice and that becomes a fact. Okay, we have enough suggestion or enough reasons for. इससे ज्यादा लिख नहीं सकते, please understand, it's only a 10-mark question. You'll be able to write 4-5 points in the reasons and 4-5 points about how national mission on edible oil palm will help us reduce this dependency. तो national mission, तो यहाँ पे second part में before directly jumping onto national mission on edible oil, you should say to reduce this dependency India has launched various initiatives. 3-4 initiatives के नाम दें. आखिरी में the last initiative will be national mission on edible oil palm. NMEO oil palm will help us reduce this dependency by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, it targets to increase oil palm production by oil palm production to 28 lakh tons by 2030. How is it trying to do that? By subsidizing farmers, by providing them support for buying new plants, by helping nurseries, by subsidizing nurseries to develop, make the planting material available, by ensuring price fluctuation ensure नहीं कर रहे, viability price, by ensuring viability price. And एक और पॉइंट था बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट, नहीं environment friendly nature में, keeping environment conservation in mind. So sustainability would also be. You will not be able to write lots of things here because we will have very less space to do this, है ना. अब देखो यहाँ पे भी we have two things, import dependency and how NMEO OP can help us reduce this import dependency. तो कंक्लूजन में आप ऐसे समझाओ, thus in a holistic manner NMEO is targeting to increase oil production in the country and reduce import dependency. दोनों पार्ट कि हम import dependency भी करना reduce करना चाह रहे हैं और यहाँ पे it has tried to make it very holistic. हम नर्सरीज को भी सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, हम फार्मर्स को भी सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, हम एनवायरमेंट फ्रेंडली नेचर में भी जाना चाह रहे हैं. वी हैव अ एम्बिशियस टारगेट टू. राइट, कंफर्टेबल? ओके, लेट्स गो टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 3. ये तो फैक्चुअल सा हो गया. व्हाट आर द की क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस required for coffee cultivation in India. Discuss the key challenges faced by coffee sector in the country. Key climatic condition. अच्छा, यहाँ पे भी rather than directly jumping onto this, introduce कर लेते हैं. How will we introduce this? What are the key climatic conditions required for coffee cultivation in India? देखो, अब सोचो, आपसे पूछा गया कॉफी कल्टीवेशन के लिए क्या क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशन चाहिए. इसके लिए जब हम इंट्रोडक्शन लिखेंगे तो एक चीज जो हम बोल सकते हैं वो ये है कि यार इंडिया इज वन ऑफ द टॉप 10 कॉफी प्रोड्यूसर्स इन द वर्ल्ड. India is able to do it because there are regions in the country which are very suitable for coffee cultivation. The climatic conditions required are tropical. It's a tropical plantation crop, so hot and humid. एक ये वाला एस्पेक्ट है कि हॉट एंड ह्यूमिड, जहां पे रेनफॉल शुड बी फ्रॉम 150 to 250 सेंटीमीटर्स. क्या हमने पढ़ा था ये? इंडिया is the only country where coffee is grown in proper two-tier shade. You talk about that aspect, and then though they have asked mostly about climatic condition, ऐसे climatic condition के बारे में बोलते टाइम do tell this कि it's a crop which cannot tolerate frost or very cold condition, and therefore it cannot be grown in Himalayan regions or those situations. And then briefly mention, though it has not been asked, say other than all this, coffee cultivation also requires skilled and cheap labor. दो पूछा नहीं है, क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशन के बारे में पूछा है, उसे भी फिर आ जाओ. बट इन रिसेंट ईयर्स the coffee sector has been facing several challenges. I think we have discussed those challenges very elaborately. मुझे दोबारा से डिस्कस करने की जरूरत नहीं है. यहाँ पे क्लाइमेट चेंज है, पेस्ट एंड डिजीज है, हाई कॉस्ट ऑफ फाइनेंस, मैकेनाइजेशन इंडिया में डिफिकल्ट है बिकॉज इट्स हैपनिंग इन स्लोप वाला रीजन. तो यू कैन टॉक अबाउट दैट. इफ यू हैव टाइम स्पेस, डू ब्रीफली मेंशन हाउ those problems would be resolved. Let's come to the last question. Critically analyze the potential of dry direct seeded rice in dealing with challenges of traditional rice cultivation in India. अब देखो, critical analysis. Directive word here is critically analyzing. So here you have to first talk about how dry direct seeded rice will resolve the challenges of traditional rice cultivation, but then you'll also have to talk about why it isn't very effective, why there are issues remain. Right? उसका negatives भी बताने होंगे. We have seen Chhattisgarh में it was to some extent successful, but the moment it went to Punjab, it faced many challenges. And in spite of all this, it still consumes a lot of water. So thus, it has certain benefits, but in reality, to solve the problem of rice wheat cropping system, we should focus on diversification rather than on dry DSR. Right? यही हमने क्लास में पढ़ा है. But when the question is critical analysis, if it was just explain, elaborate, what we would have done, yeah, देखो, in these ways it can do that. But the question is critically analyze. So you'd say how it can. So in this question, we should have started with the problems of the rice wheat cropping system or traditional rice cultivation. है ना? You could have started with one of the major issues that agriculture sector faces in India is because of rice cultivation in the northwestern area. Or because you cannot write a big intro. What you do, एक circle बनाओ, बीच में लिखो challenges, 5-6 problems, keywords में बस बता. Because they haven't asked traditional rice cultivation की वजह से problems क्या है. That just has to be mentioned briefly. And then jump on to dry DSR can resolve these problems in the following manner, but at the same time, dry DSR suffers from some of its own limitations. Therefore, dry DSR will be a temporary solution. In long term, we should focus on diversification towards other crops which are more suitable for the region and which will be more climate resilient. ये हमारा कंक्लूजन था जो हमने आखिरी में बोला. इंट्रो challenges से बताते हुए 2 parts of the answer and conclude. Are we all comfortable here? Will we all be able to write a good answer? I'm hopeful that every day your ability to write a good answer is improving slightly. Go first day, even if your answers have 100 mistakes, if every day you will remove one mistake, if you'll reduce one shortcoming in your answer, in 100 days, all the shortcomings will be reduced. You'll be able to write, you'll all be able to write very good answers. Okay? Now, मेरे ऑनलाइन वाले बच्चे क्या बोल रहे हैं? सर इन क्रिटिकली एनालाइज इंट्रो में भी चैलेंज लिखना है? क्यों लिखना है? इंट्रोडक्शन तो जस्ट आप अपने मेन पार्ट में जाने से पहले इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हो, बिल्कुल नहीं. सर थोड़ा सा फंकी इंट्रो विथ कोट्स यूज कर सकते हैं क्या इन क्वेश्चंस लाइक कॉफी वन? हाँ, कर सकते हो यार, कॉफी का सिग्निफिकेंस थोड़ा सा बताते हुए, है ना? वैसे आप कर सकते हो डेफिनेटली, मतलब बट इट शुड बी इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट. इट कैन बी innovative, it can be funny, but it should not be a joke. It should be funny. It may be something which may make a person laugh, make a person smile, but it should be in context. What I have written in intro, the rising coffee culture in youth and the working masses where morning begin with a cup of coffee has increased demand for coffee cultivation and created attractive markets in India and abroad. अब देखो, the problem with this kind of introduction is क्या हो रहा है? You see, the problem with this kind of introduction is you have to be absolutely sure. हाँ, आपने डेटा लिख दिया कि it is increasing demand and when challenges we are saying that demand is getting affected. So this kind of intro is a good intro, but not, there are some issues. You will, the evaluator will find तूने intro में तो बोला demand बढ़ रहा है, इसलिए एग्रीकल्चर कल्टीवेशन बढ़ रहा है, एंड देन यहाँ पे तो बता रहा है नहीं, देयर आर चैलेंजेस. Coffee cultivation is facing competition from Pusa. So these things have to be kept in mind. सर आज दो गलतियां ठीक हुई डायरेक्टिव वर्ड्स के रिगार्डिंग, डिस्कस एंड क्रिटिकली एनालाइज. थैंक यू. काइंडली एक्सप्लेन अदर डायरेक्टिव्स टू इन फ्यूचर क्लासेस. हमें करूँ यार, पता है आई एम नॉट एबल टू फाइंड टाइम टू इवन डिस्कस वो हमारे एमएमपी प्रोग्राम से जीएस 3 में कितने क्वेश्चंस आए, उसका समय नहीं मिल रहा. मैं बाकी तो थ्रू दीज आंसर राइटिंग सेशंस ओनली वी विल स्लोली कीप ऑन लर्निंग वेरियस aspects of answer writing or directive words. I'll ensure that each and every directive words which can be asked in the examination we are giving in the question, so that here only you'll be able to understand what are the things required. Okay, now let's quickly go to booklet 2. Booklet 2, I think only the last topic is left. Horticulture. Horticulture. We have seen when we were analyzing PYQs in the first class, we saw that there were questions from horticulture also. Sir, facing issues with time management, using too many words in the sentences, not able to write more points. देखो, that is why always when you are revising points, when you are revising answers, no, आप heading को explain कर रहे हो कैसे in 1 or 2 lines. While revising only, you think how will you write that point in 1 single line or 2 lines. When you will think in very short words के form में, at the time when you will write answers, you will not have to unnecessarily write 3-4 lines for that one point. Sir, if we have any doubt and while watching recorded class, how to ask? बेटा लाइव क्लास में तो मैं आ ही जाता हूँ. डू यू वांट डाउट सेशंस टू? ये मतलब फाउंडेशन वगैरह बच्चों के लिए डाउट सेशन चाहिए होता है, मेंस वाले बच्चों को भी चाहिए क्या? तुम्हें तो नहीं चाहिए, तुम तो ऑफलाइन वाले हो. डू ऑनलाइन स्टूडेंट्स नीड अ सेपरेट डाउट सेशन टू? यू कैन आस्क योर टेलीग्राम ग्रुप खुलवाने पर बहुत रायता फैल जाता है. इतने एटिकेट्स वाले तो होते नहीं हो आप लोग, है ना? कुछ भी डलने लगता है, मैरी क्रिसमस, ईद मुबारक, ये वो, फिर सब मेरे टेलीग्राम ग्रुप पे क्या हो जाता है, हैप्पी बर्थडे सर, और फिर सब लग जाते हैं. जब तक मैं सो के उठता हूँ तो मैं तो पैदा भी नहीं हुआ आज, है ना? बिकॉज आई एम वेरी फ्रेंडली, पीपल आर लाइक. तो टेलीग्राम ग्रुप बंद रहने, और दूसरे और भी चैलेंजेस हैं. वी हैव सीन दैट स्टूडेंट्स ना एक दूसरे की प्राइवेसी को रिस्पेक्ट नहीं करते हैं. हमने देखो टेलीग्राम ग्रुप इतना वो करके रखा है कि नॉट इवन सी अदर मेंबर्स। देख सकते हैं क्या बात कर रहे हो? कब? अभी देखो, जब तक 100 लोग थे तब तक देख सकते, तो उसके बाद नहीं देख सकते। कैसे? अबे मैं तो देख सकता हूं। अब नहीं दिख रहा ना? पहले 100 स्टूडेंट्स तक वो ऑफ नहीं हो सकता, वो ऑफ है ना। तो पॉइंट इज क्या होता है, अब इसके जैसा लड़का सारी लड़कियों का प्रोफाइल देखे, सबको हाय। हाँ नहीं करते, मैं मजाक कर रहा हूँ भाई, ये मजाक कर रहा हूँ। आई डो नॉट इवन नो यू, मैं ऐसे कैसे? तो द पॉइंट इज प्रिवेसी, इसलिए उसे बंद करके सब कुछ करके रखना पड़ता है, सो दैट एवरीवन इज सेफ एंड सिक्योर। इट्स आवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू इंश्योर दैट बच्चे परेशान भी ना हो। ठीक है, ऑफलाइन ऑनलाइन सारे बच्चे ले लो ये नंबर। इफ यू हैव एनी इशू मैसेज मी, इफ इट विल बी अ कॉमन डाउट आई विल आंसर it in the group so that everyone is able to understand it, but only academic doubts, nothing else. I'm very strict about it. सर मुझे इस कोर्स में डिस्काउंट दिलवा दो, सर मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड भाग गई, मेरा पढ़ने का मन नहीं लग रहा, सर मेरा बॉयफ्रेंड कहीं और अफेयर कर रहा है, नहीं मैं नहीं इंटरेस्टेड हूं भाई, सिर्फ पढ़ाई के डाउट्स। क्योंकि आई हैव माई नंबर इज विथ thousands of my students. Each one of them have my number for academic purpose. I want to remain reachable, not for useless things. अगर आपका mental health issues चल रहे हैं, come and take session with Sonali ma'am, she's an expert, not me. है ना? तो बाकी बस एकेडमिक डाउट्स आप मुझे भेजेंगे और कोई चीज नहीं। सर मुझे एंथ्रोपोलॉजी के इस कोर्स में एडमिशन लेना, अबे रिसेप्शन पे जाके बात करो। It's I'm not supposed to handle every query. I'm your teacher who's supposed to help you study. ठीक है, इस बात को बहुत क्लियरली, बहुत ध्यान से रख। एंड डोंट शेयर दिस नंबर विथ एनीवन एल्स हु इज नॉट आवर स्टूडेंट। जो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स नहीं है, प्लीज डोंट शेयर इट विद देम। It's only for students, for their doubts, and in case you are facing some challenge and institution does not resolve it within 24 hours. आपने कोई मेल किया कोई इशू को लेके, 24 आवर्स में वो रिजॉल्व नहीं होता है, उसका स्क्रीनशॉट लेके मुझे भेज। This keeps everyone on toes. This ensures that all your concerns are taken care of. Your time is valued, but nothing else. I'm not going to entertain any message which does not have academic और 24 आवर्स होने के बाद भी आपका इशू रिजॉल्व नहीं हुआ। अदर देन दिस आई एम नॉट हैंडलिंग एनीथिंग एल्स। फॉर एनीथिंग एल्स जो ऑफिशियल मैकेनिज्म है वो प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड। इनिशियली व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड टीचिंग इन 2016-17 आई वाज टीचिंग 10-15 स्टूडेंट्स। मैं उन सबके सारे जीवन के दुख देख सकता था। अभी दैट्स नॉट द केस। इफ ऑल ऑफ यू स्टार्ट मैसेजिंग मी अबाउट अदर स्टफ, सर मेरा ये नहीं हो रहा, मेरा वो नहीं हो रहा, ऐसा नहीं हो रहा, वैसा नहीं हो रहा, and I'll start replying to all of it, I'll not be able to teach, I'll not be able to prepare. ये सब प्रिपेयर करने में, क्वेश्चंस बनाने में, ये सब करने में बहुत टाइम लगता है। each and every word I teach has been prepared by me. Each and every notes that you are getting, जो मैं दे रहा हूँ, has been typed by me, has been formatted by me. I do not hire any content team, I do not give any of this work to anyone else. एक एक क्वेश्चन जो मैं करवा रहा हूँ, मैं खुद बना के दे। My role is that, my role is I want to ensure that अब उस फील्ड में सबसे अच्छे से आपको पढ़ाया जाए, not anything else. ठीक है, डन। चले 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 आगे। हॉर्टिकल्चर, लेट्स कम टू हॉर्टिकल्चर। हॉर्टिकल्चर होता क्या है? फल फूल उगाना, फल सब्जियां फूल, growing all these things is horticulture. Now when a question on horticulture comes, one is you will explain कि horticulture consists of, horticulture sector comprised of a wide array of crops from fruits and vegetables to nuts, spices, medicinal plants, flowers, plantation crops, provide many opportunities for income. They provide many opportunities for income generation. That is one, by explaining what horticulture is. Other is you being able to give data about horticulture. How much is our horticulture production? In 2023-24, as per Department of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, we produced 353 million tons of horticulture crops. What is the food amount of food crop that we produce? Around 330 million tons. 329 वैसे है, but around 330 million tons. What is the horticulture output? 353 million ton, which has slightly reduced. उससे पहले it was 355 million tons. Now, before we go into anything, एक तो data हमें समझ में आ गया. Database introduction, if we have to write, we'll be able to write that. We'll be able to write definition based introduction in a horticulture crop. If it's there, will we be able to write? Will we be able to explain what is horticulture? Will we be able to explain data, how much we are producing? Now, a very important part. Tell me this. हमने ज्यादा एरिया हॉर्टिकल्चर कल्टीवेशन को दे रखा है, क्रॉप कल्टीवेशन? क्रॉप 3-4 times more. Horticulture has been given very less space, very less area. Output of horticulture is much higher. Tell me this. Price कौन ज्यादा fetch करता है? Horticulture, right? गेहूं चावल से तो ज्यादा horticulture in much smaller space is giving you much bigger output, fetching you better price. We get to understand its significance very clearly. Why horticulture is very crucial, why horticulture is very important, why do we need to expand it? This is one thing. There are other aspects of horticulture. We'll come to that. Abhi ke liye samjho, the area under horticulture cultivation is around 30 million hectares, which is 125 million hectares for crops. It's around 30 million hectares. For crops, it's around 125 million hectares. Now, another thing is, when we look at horticulture ka global comparison, India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables. Largest is China. But there are some fruits and vegetables where India is the largest producer. For example, mango, banana, coconut, cashew, papaya, pomegranate, or spices. We are not only the largest producer, but also largest exporter. For some things, we are doing way better. Now, why is horticulture sector significant? Introduction, I hope now we'll all be able to write a good introduction. We'll be able to define horticulture. We'll be able to write data about horticulture. Around 30 million hectares में हम क्या कर रहे हैं? Horticulture grow कर रहे हैं, but the output is around 353 million tons. Then we have another data. India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world after China, and in case of some fruits we are the largest producer. In case of spices, we are the largest producer as well as exporters. बहुत सारा data आ गया, बहुत सारा जो fodder material that we need for in case we do not have any idea कि आप introduce कैसे करें, we'll be able to do that. Now, why is horticulture sector significant? देखो, वैसे तो we understand the main significance, but here we're starting with the horticulture sector ensures food and nutritional security. Most of the vitamin, mineral that we get in our food, a large part of vitamins. When doctors say आपका vitamin consumption बढ़ना है, क्या बोलते हैं? फल और हरी सब्जियां खाओ. Right? So, in order to ensure food security and nutritional security, it is crucial. It is also crucial for increasing income of farmers. Right now, farmers are cultivating crops, food grains in 127 million hectares and only producing 330 million tons of, roughly 329 million tons of food grains. But we are producing horticulture only in 28.98 million hectares, and our output is 353.19 million tons. It indicates what? That productivity of horticulture crops is much higher. Price of horticulture crops are much higher. And thus, when we are thinking of increasing the income of farmers, we also should think of diversification, not only in millets and pulses, but also Sir, I'm from South India. I can't understand Hindi. Kindly use English. Yes, I'll make sure. Yeah, I'm using English only. No, I'm sorry if any one of you has not been able to understand. I'll make sure that I only communicate English. Do we get it? Do we understand this? So, significance, food and nutritional security, significance. A lot of scope for diversification, increasing income of farmers. It also benefits food processing industry. See, food processing of wheat and rice will not fetch us a lot, will not give us a lot of scope. But processing of tomato, ginger, mango, oranges, banana, banana chips and all those things, potato, there the scope is much higher. And thus, if we want to improve the performance of food processing industry, if we want to improve the employment opportunities in rural India, what is important? Horticulture crops are important. Then export earning, it has a lot of potential there too. In 2023-24, only by export of fresh fruits, we earned more than $1 billion. Environmental benefits. See, when we are thinking of horticulture crops, when we are thinking of mangoes, bananas, सेब संतरे को अंग्रेजी में क्या बोलेंगे? Apples and oranges. Apples and oranges. We're talking about trees. When a tree is there, what happens? We increase afforestation. When we increase afforestation, we reduce the impact of climate change, and thus it's environment friendly in this manner. It can contribute to our fight against climate change. But now, sometimes when you travel through the agricultural heartland of India, you will see throughout the field there will be only a few trees and only plants, crops. But there would be time when those things have been harvested, field is empty. That will not be the case when the crop is replaced by trees of quinoa, trees of apples, trees of other such things. They say if you have in recent years, if you have traveled in Haryana mein quinoa cultivation has increased. In those villages, when you will travel, you'll find that somehow at the center there is one large field where a lot of quinoa plants are there. It is increasing greenery. It is increasing the ability to absorb CO2. Then agri diversification may, this is also one of the, we want to promote agri diversification. We want to reduce the limitations of, there are advantages of horticulture, but then there are limitations of rice wheat cropping system and other things, and there also this can be crucial, this can be beneficial. So introduction about horticulture, significance of horticulture. Government has been taking several initiatives to promote horticulture. For example, we have Mission on Integrated Development of Horticulture, which was launched right after Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister, 2014-15. This was an umbrella initiative which brought under it all other initiatives related to horticulture. All other erstwhile schemes like National Horticulture Mission for Northeast and Himalayas, it focused on introducing improved varieties and quality of seeds. That is, all other initiatives, I have only mentioned 2 initiatives here, but there were several other initiatives which has been subsumed under Mission on Integrated Development of Horticulture. So all the steps which were being taken under those initiatives, for example, seed improvement of availability of plants from nurseries, focusing on geographical specialization, focusing on clusters. There can be clusters of tomatoes, there can be clusters of oranges and so on. All those initiatives have been brought under what? Mission on Integrated Development of Horticulture, MIDH. Okay, then we have Horticulture Cluster Development Program. It aims at growing and developing horticulture clusters. So 53 clusters have been identified, but right now implementation is happening in 12 clusters. These clusters will focus on geographical specialization. When we go to Nasik and we focus on cluster development there will be focus on onion or tomatoes. When we go to Kashmir, there will be focus on apples. So geographical specialization has been prioritized here. It will also address all major issues related to horticulture sector. What are the issues? Pre-production, production, post-production, post-harvest management, logistics, marketing, branding. So this cluster development program is also focused on these challenges. Then we have National Horticulture Mission. Please understand, National Horticulture Mission has now been subsumed under Mission on Integrated Development of Horticulture. So its initiatives are there, but in spite of it being subsumed under MIDH, एक ना 2016 में क्वेश्चन आ गया था कि National Horticulture Mission, what has been the impact or something like that. A question was there. Look at the first booklet where we are discussing questions of cropping. So briefly, I thought that separately also we should discuss it. So it's a centrally sponsored scheme which was launched in 2005-6 with one of its major objective being to increase horticulture production and doubling farmers' income. And towards this, you will see that has it had positive impact? So yes, productivity of horticulture has increased from 8.8 tons per hectare in 2005-6 when it was launched to 12.3 tons per hectare by 2018-19. It indicating what? Indicating overall productivity going up. Then we have Project Chaman. Project Chaman is more a technology oriented initiative where remote sensing technology is used for generating action plan and strategic development of horticulture sector. With the help of remote sensing, we identify the areas in which what kind of horticulture crops would be suitable. Then we also have Atmanirbhar Horticulture Clean Plant Program. This was announced recently in 2023. What is the idea behind Clean Plant Program? Most of the horticulture crops are grown with the help of nurseries. Pehle in nursery, there will be small plants developed and then that is transplanted into the field. Now, in this process, when we do not take care of many other challenges, many of these plants are diseased. So, Clean Plant Program is focused on making available the plants for transplantation which are of good quality. So, it aims to enhance the availability of disease-free quality planting material for high-value horticulture crops. It is expected to increase crop yield, promote climate-resilient varieties, and safeguard the ecosystem. So there are several initiatives which have been taken. But as I've told you, in mains examination, UPSC does not ask, unless it's a flagship initiative, UPSC does not ask you schemes. Schemes कौन से पूछे जाएंगे? Flagship वाले. एयरवेज में उड़े देश का आम नागरिक और रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी स्कीम इज द फ्लैगशिप इनिशिएटिव. एयर पोल्यूशन में नेशनल क्लीन एयर प्रोग्राम इज द फ्लैगशिप इनिशिएटिव. वाटर कंजर्वेशन में जल शक्ति मिशन इज द फ्लैगशिप इनिशिएटिव. सैनिटेशन में स्वच्छ भारत मिशन is a flagship initiative. They'll ask you questions related to that, but they'll not ask you questions related to every tuchu muchu. How will I say tuchu muchu in English? Petty, हाँ. No, petty नहीं. Small, little. हाँ, वही. समझ गए ना? Those kind of schemes. So we do not have to worry about it. But briefly, we should be able to mention it in one line. This initiative is about this. This initiative is about this. This initiative is about this. In case they ask, discuss the various initiatives. तो एक line में आप सबको बता पाना possible. Now, what are the challenges faced by horticulture sector? देखो challenges में we will come to these challenges that we have mentioned. The fragmented land holdings. So most of the farmers are small and marginal. For them, even if they move to horticulture, moving to horticulture will be full of risk because even if they go for, let's say, quinoa would start growing in 3-4 years. How do they get income for 3-4 years? Do they have skills? Do they have awareness? Do they have significance? Do they have inputs available? No. This is one challenge. You will see in Haryana or in other parts of the country when people are moving from traditional crop varieties to this, it is the well-off farmers who are able to move it. But most of the farmers are small and marginal, so that challenge remains. Then poor quality inputs. Clean Plant Program is focused on what? Improving the quality of seeds or plants. Because horticulture is not, they say, as popular as crops. In crops, we have high yielding varieties. We have Krishi Vigyan Kendra doing a lot of cluster demonstration to help farmers. We don't have that kind of penetration for horticulture crops in terms of the quality of input available, also in terms of training and other things available for horticulture crops. Then infrastructure, harvesting infrastructure to processing infrastructure, storage infrastructure, all those things are way more important for horticulture. आप टमाटर को हार्वेस्ट करने के बाद you cannot just keep it in a big bora like you keep wheat and rice. You will have to quickly process it, quickly store it in cold storage, quickly transport it to the market, else its value would keep going down. So poor infrastructure impacts what sector more? Horticulture sector way more. Then poor marketing situation. We'll see that farmers sometimes end up throwing all their tomatoes because the prices that they're getting is very less. And then there would be some years when we are buying tomatoes in 150 and 200 rupees per kg. There was a time when chicken भी 200 रुपए किलो में मिल रहा है, टमाटर भी 200 रुपए किलो में मिल रहा है. I'm like, क्या चल रहा है? Then lack of awareness, skill training, pests and diseases, those are certain other things. Excessive use of pesticide, insecticides, as well as antibiotics. This, I think we have been discussing. I've in the past spoken about pomegranate, anar creating problems, creating issue. अनार में a lot of pesticides being used. तो इंडिया में ऑर्गेनिक हॉर्टिकल्चर को प्रमोट करने की जरूरत बहुत ज्यादा है. ऑर्गेनिक सॉल्यूशंस निकालने की स्टेप्स बहुत ज्यादा है. एंड देन क्लाइमेट चेंज. सी traditional areas where apples grow in cooler regions, right? What's happening? Because of climate change, their productivity is getting affected. One of the topics that we're discussing today is tomato. Why all of a sudden in July, August, we face scarcity of tomato? There is a seasonality issue ki yes, in this period, less vegetable is harvested, less tomato is harvested. But the issue is, in recent times, we are facing a lot of untimely rainfall, which is damaging the crops of tomato. Sometimes excess heat in April and May, which again damages the crop. So climate change is also becoming a hindrance in the growth of horticulture sector. Climate change to वैसे भी problem रहा है, ये भी रहा है. And here, देखो, we have written some points, but you can again talk about other aspects like MSP. Will MSP hinder horticulture sector? Farmer will stick to wheat and rice because they are short of price, which is not the case with horticulture. So what is the way forward? The first challenge was small and marginal farmers. How do we deal with that? Collectivization, land consolidation, bringing farmers together through cooperatives or FPOs, or promoting contract farming. So increased focus on creation of FPOs which can collectivize farmers and deal with the challenge of fragmented land holding, finalizing and implementing a national framework on contract farming. वैसे in 2020, the 3 farm laws which were brought, one of the laws was focused on improving contract farming situation. I think in tomorrow's class, we are going to talk about agri-marketing and other such issues. वहाँ पे हम APMC मंडी and challenges पढ़ेंगे, and we'll briefly also talk about the 3 farm laws. Though chances of them being asked in the examination is very low, so will not in your notes there will not be a lot of detail, but we'll try to understand that those 3 farm laws were step in the right direction, but it was not the right way in which, like, इतने important farm laws थे, इतने बड़े reforms थे, bringing them as ordinance made farmers doubtful about the intention of the government. This created a problem. So democracy and taking everyone together is also crucial when we go for big reforms. There were some issues in the laws, but in general, those laws were step in the right direction. So if the laws could have been introduced after consulting all the stakeholders, if the bill could have gone to parliamentary standing committee, they could have suggested some changes, some problems, some places where there were conflict of interest. We could have come up with, it may have taken a longer period, it may have taken a period of 1 year, but it could have led to long-term effective reforms for which we have been waiting for last 20-30 years. The points which were there in the law have been recommended by almost all the committees related to agri-marketing reforms in last 30 years. It's not something that this government was trying to do. Right from 1990s, jitne bhi committees bani hai, they had recommended similar provisions. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about the issue there. But right now, absence of proper marketing facilities creates problem for absence of proper infrastructure, proper marketing facilities creates problem there, and not having a well-defined framework for contract farming. अब अगर contract farming का framework होता, what could have happened? Corporate sector could have gone to farmers and would have said, I'm giving you this seed. I want this kind of potato, this kind of tomato. grow this food. This is the input. They may also support farmers with the tools. So the input wala problem could have been resolved to some extent, and they could have also been assured of the right price. Price fluctuation, other issues could have been taken care of. Intensify efforts towards improving the quality of inputs. For example, something like Clean Plant Program, which we just discussed. If that is implemented effectively, some problems could be resolved. Then increase the reach of extension services. Extension services were training, skilling services to farmers about how they can move from rice, wheat system or other crops to horticulture. Focus on newer methods like aeroponics, hydro. Have we discussed about this briefly? In the era of climate change, controlled environment within a building with a lot of sunlight and renewable energy. Higher temperature hai, theek hai. We'll use renewable energy. Can promote development of horticulture sector, nutritional security, food security. So we should also start exploring these things. And finally, emphasize on increase in value addition or emphasize on development of more food processing industries. Abhi winters mein you will see tomato prices will go down. We'll understand the reason for it. But sometimes we buy it at 150 rupees per kg or 200 rupees per kg. Why not the tomato which is available right now be processed? And that processed tomato may be available at that time at affordable rates. So at that time, demands would be lesser, prices would be maintained. So more value addition can fetch better prices for farmers, can increase demand for horticulture sector, and help us achieve all the other benefits that we have spoken about from the perspective of horticulture sector. Are we understanding this? So, इसी में, like, while continuing with this topic, because tomato is something whose prices have fluctuated a lot over the last 2-3 years. One crop that we want to cover, one horticulture crop about which we want to look at the cropping pattern is this. In which season tomato is grown, how much time does it take to grow, and what are the reasons for recent price fluctuation? Let us understand that. Tomatoes. Tomatoes are among the top 3 food that we vegetables that we consume. वैसे technically tomato is a fruit, है ना? Technically tomato is a fruit, it's not a vegetable, but anyways, the top 3 vegetables that we consume are tomato and सबसे ज़्यादा we consume is potato, then onion, and then tomato. Tomato is the third most consumed vegetable in India. Globally, it is the second most consumed vegetable. After potato, we consume globally. Tomato is the most consumed vegetable after potato. India mein onion, and then comes tomato. Now, in terms of area under tomato cultivation and in terms of total production, India is ranked second in the world. The major tomato producing countries in the world are China, followed by India, US, Turkey, and Egypt. India mein how much tomato production happens? So we produce around 20 million tons. In 2019-20, we produced 21 million tons. In 2021-22, we produced 20.62 million tons. उसके बाद 20.69 million tons, then 22-23 we produced 20.62 million tons. There have been slightly declining trend, but roughly around 20 million tons of tomato is what we are producing. It's a 90 to 100 day crop, and here also you need to first prepare nursery beds where small plants would come, then those plants need to be transplanted, and the tomato harvesting happens in flushes. Flushes means not all the tomatoes will be harvested at one go. There will be one cycle, then there will be second cycle, then there will be third cycle. As tomatoes keep on maturing in flushes, we remove it. Now, there are 2 major crops of tomatoes annually. You will see tomatoes are available throughout the year. Fresh tomatoes are available throughout the year, not the cold storage one. It means we must be harvesting tomatoes in multiple seasons. So, tomatoes can be grown both in Kharif and Rabi season, but in different regions, different thing happens. For example, the Kharif crop is grown, you'll see the first one transplanted from around mid-June. So from June, July, August, transplantation will take place. This is the Kharif crop, which will lead to a lot of tomato being available in November, December period. जो सर्दियों में पूरी सर्दियों में टमाटर सस्ते मिलते हैं ना, in the entire winters, tomatoes are available at very affordable rates. That's mostly because most of our tomato is produced during Kharif season. The Rabi tomato, which is harvested in May, June, when problems occur there, because shortage is there, we face challenges in June, July period when it comes to tomatoes. Right. So this Kharif crop, the first one transplanted from around mid-June in central and south India. Central India में शिवपुरी and Sagar in Madhya Pradesh, Nasik in Maharashtra, Mandanapalle in Andhra Pradesh, Kolar and Mysore in Karnataka, Dindigul in Tamil Nadu. And mid-July to August in northern India, Jhalawad to Jaipur region in Rajasthan, Sonbhadra, Varanasi, Lucknow, etc. in UP. This is the Kharif crop grown in central India and northern India. The autumn to late Kharif crop supplies market from September onwards, and from September you will see tomato prices not remaining very high. The second main crop is transplanted during January, February. You understand the meaning of transplanted? First in nursery, seed would be sown and then plants would be transplanted to the field. It is the Rabi crop, the second crop, which is transplanted during January and Feb, and you will see that it is the one which is harvested in May, July. Where does this cultivation happen? It happens in cooler places, relatively cool or hilly areas such as Mandanpalle, Mysore, Kolar in Karnataka, Sangamner and Narayangaon in Maharashtra, or Solan and Mandi in Himachal Pradesh. These are some cooler places where this would be transplanted and grown. So, because at the time of harvesting, if the temperature is very high, it may damage the crop. And here, harvesting when it is transplanted somewhere in January, February, when is harvesting happening? April, May. If the temperature would be very high, it may be problematic for tomatoes. So these are grown in cooler regions. But why increase in prices? Almost every year, somewhere around June, July, August, we see a lot of price rise for tomato. This has been happening since last 3 years. It happened in 22, it happened in 23, and again we saw that happening in 24. Why does this happen? One is lower acreage of tomato. Tomato is being grown in lesser area. Uska reason tha, there have been times when tomato has to be just thrown away by the farmers because the price that they're getting in market is very less. Then there is climate change or extreme weather events. For example, you'll see heat waves and high temperature in April and May, along with delayed monsoon showers in southern India and Maharashtra, led to attack on tomato crops. Later, a lot of rainfall, excessive rainfall, have also damaged crops. So July and August, in general, we see seasonal fluctuation. Here, the availability is less. And when in that scenario, in general, availability is less, but in that scenario, when crops get damaged, situation worsens. Other general challenges, perishability. Unlike potato and onion, potatoes and onions, you'll see, हमारे घरों में भी potatoes and onions can stay usable for longer period. But tomatoes have to be consumed quickly. So perishability of tomato is much higher than onion and potato. Supply chain issues in transporting the vegetable from area where it is grown to regions where it is not compounds the problem. Now, tomato transportation also needs to happen in a very systematic manner. Like if you have seen onion को ऐसे truck में भर के ले आएंगे, because onion is not going to get crushed. But tomatoes will be transported in small plastic boxes, crates. You cannot just have many layers of tomato, otherwise the tomato at the bottom will be crushed. Because it has lower shelf life, many a times it also needs to be stored in cold storage and so on. So these are some other challenges which are hampering tomato. So how do we deal with it? First, we need to deal with the supply chain. Supply chain mein bhai, in operational green, government focused initially on top, then all 22 crops are being focused upon. One of the focus area of Operation Green was ensuring transportation, effective transportation of these crops. We have to study, understand why Operation Green hasn't been as effective. Why in areas like, even when tomato was being sold in Delhi at 150 or 200 rupees per kg, बहुत सारे tomato का production फंसा हुआ था because transportation is not happening. Sometimes it was because of heavy rainfall or because of other reasons. So we have to focus on improving the supply chain and analyzing why Operation Green hasn't been very effective. Then government should also identify pre-existing cluster and invest in infrastructure in these areas, like places where tomato is grown. There we need more cold storage facilities, so that we'll be able to store it for longer period if transportation facilities and other such things are delayed. Improvement of connectivity in hilly areas, Solan, Himachal mein, those are also the places from where we are supposed to get tomatoes. This gets affected, like during monsoon or other situation, the availability, the transportation availability from these places suffer. Then not assuring right price, this is another challenge. That was another challenge. So we need special MSP for top crops, at least for onion and tomatoes. Onion and tomatoes are two crops jahan pe na prices at some time become so high that it becomes really unaffordable for most of the people. Our finance minister may say कि वो onion नहीं खाती, but for most of us, जैसे during सावन हमारे घर में onion और वो सब नहीं बनता है, but then the taste of food also थोड़ा affect होता है, because onion is the second most consumed vegetable in the country. Like a finance minister should not be giving this argument, मैं नहीं खाती. Right? So we have to ensure some MSP, some kind of MSP or some price assurance, so that farmers don't move away from it when suddenly in a year a lot of production is there and farmers are throwing the vegetables, because transportation cost would be much higher than what they're going to get. In that situation, there should be some kind of what price assurance mechanism. When we'll study the issue of MSP, हम समझेंगे कि there is a provision available for market intervention. Government just ignore that provision. We have to focus, we have to ensure that those provisions are effectively implemented and some kind of price assurance is available. Then improving the food processing industry and increasing the processing of those things whose availability is lesser. For example, 10% of the tomato which is produced during the which is grown during the Kharif season and harvested during winters, if that is processed in the form of paste and puree, it can be used during June, July, August time, reducing the demand, reducing the cost. Reforming market, eliminating middlemen and encouraging FPOs to directly sell their products. Sometimes when prices are very high, it's not the farmers who are benefiting, it is the intermediaries who benefit. Then improving the yield. India, though, is the second largest producer of tomato in the world, but its yield is lower than the global average. We produce around 25 tons of tomato for every hectare, whereas the global average is 37 tons every hectare. So we need to focus on improving the yield. The encouraging cultivation structures called polyhouses and greenhouses, as done in many European countries, can control the pest attack, can deal with the climate fluctuation, or growing tomato in a controlled environment is what they're talking about. Accurate weather forecast is also crucial. Now, sometimes when we are told that bhai, heavy rainfall is going to occur, what farmers can at least do, they can remove the kacha wala tomato, right? At least something would be saved. But in the absence of proper weather forecasting, they're even not able to harvest that portion. So we are saying weather forecast should be made accessible to farmers. If there are sufficient advanced prediction of heavy rain or floods, farmers can prematurely harvest and save at least a part of their crop. Satellite mapping of sowing area and dissemination of this data for better supply side planning. In January, February, with the help of remote sensing, we can understand how much acreage is there for tomato cultivation. Based on that, if government gets to know that tomato cultivation has happened in lesser area, it means production is going to happen, lesser production is going to happen, we have to be prepared for that. Maybe import, maybe better transportation facility, maybe ensuring that extra tomatoes during which are available in winters are stored in cold storage, so that at that time it would be available. So to deal with the challenge of fluctuating prices of tomato and availability of tomato, we have to take a very holistic approach, which is not only focused on improving the productivity, improving the yield, improving the processing, but also on things like weather prediction, remote sensing to data analytics to understand what will be the output and planning for that. Just one thing will not solve the problem. We have to go for a holistic, integrated approach. Got it? अब देखो, you may ask, sir, why did you not teach potatoes? Why did you not teach onion? I have notes for all those things too. But if they would be in news, because we have seen when we look at PYQs, we don't see any question which has been asked on individual horticulture crop. And there are 22 notified horticulture items under Mission Green. मैं उन सब का आपको पढ़ाने लगा तो ROI would be very bad. So the most important thing which has been news recently is tomato. I've covered it. If more things would come, suppose onion prices suddenly spike a lot, we'll talk about it. And we'll do something like that. Okay, now let's go to booklet 3 is something that we have to start. देखो, booklet 2 में one thing that is there in syllabus that we want to cover is irrigation, different types of irrigation, different types of irrigation system and storage. ये आपके syllabus में है. But before that, I'm also covering things like capital formation in agriculture, Agri-Credit, Agri-Insurance. Agri-Insurance तो बाद में cover करेंगे. These things are not mentioned in syllabus. These things are clearly not mentioned there कि capital formation in agriculture वाला point या फिर Agri-Credit का situation क्या है या फिर Agri-Insurance. But Agri-Insurance पे they have asked questions. Capital formation in agriculture sector is a very important topic discussed in the Economic Survey of India this year. Agri-Credit पे budget में always there's a discussion. This year we are increasing the target of Agri-Credit to more than 20 lakh crore rupees and so on. So these things remain a lot in news. So though not specifically mentioned in syllabus, we will be prepared. As I've told you, for GS3, it is my responsibility to ensure that each and everything that you need for your preparation is there in your notes. I'll also come for some current updates for GS2, but GS3 mein each and everything which is there in the syllabus is my responsibility. That is why कुछ चीजें जो syllabus में नहीं भी हैं पर important है हमारी preparation की. We will make sure that those things are there in your notes. Your source of study, your source of preparation for GS3 should be these notes. Your main source of revision, your main source of study should be this. Okay, let's start with the topic of capital formation in agriculture sector. Now, before that, there are some online doubts. Himangi Madake is saying, it's understood that due to rain, there are chances that the tomatoes might rot and thus prices are high. But in winters, aren't these chances of frost? Nee, beta, dekho, please understand. When we say that coffee cannot survive very cold conditions, if that would have been the situation with tomatoes, we would have talked about that too. How come the supply is adequate during the winter month? Beta, during winter month, supply is adequate because most of our acreage, most of our production is happening in those regions where tomato is grown during Kharif period and harvested starting October. So September, October, November, December is period may will have a lot of tomatoes available because we are growing a lot of seasonality. Rabi tomato, the tomato which is transplanted at the time of winters, that's transplanted in much lesser area. So availability as such will be lower. So seasonality is one factor because of which tomato prices are very high during June, July. And with the issue of seasonality, other problems also, when other problems are also intersecting, it becomes a bigger issue. Utkarsh is asking, sir, please explain polyhouses and greenhouses done in European countries, how it controls pest attack. Beta, greenhouse will be, देखो, do we understand what is greenhouse? है ना, आप एक glass का house बनाओ, which will allow sunlight to come in, but the heat will remain trapped. That's a greenhouse. When you have this covered setting, Can you control what's happening inside? Can you control whether the pests are able to attack when crops are there in open? There are chances of pest attacking it. When crops are there in this controlled situation, chances of pest attacking reduce. You can control the complete environment there. I hope I've answered your question, Utkarsh. Now let's go to issue of capital formation in agriculture sector. Capital. What is, first of all, what is capital formation or gross capital formation? Investment in the physical assets over a period. एक साल में कितना gross capital formation है? How much investment have we made in the physical asset? How much we have improved the irrigation facilities? How much we have improved the mechanization of agriculture? How much we have improved other physical assets in the agriculture sector? That is gross capital formation. So what does this include? New and existing physical assets, machinery, buildings, land improvement, equipment purchases, inventory changes, investment in irrigation facilities, or things like cold storage facilities, processing facilities. There also, if the cold storage is for agricultural products, if the cold storage is processing facilities for agricultural products, that's also capital which we have created for agriculture sector. Now, why do we need to increase the capital formation in agriculture sector? To modernize agriculture. If we want to promote micro-irrigation, we'll need machineries which can be used there, sprinklers, etc. That is capital formation. If we want cold storage facilities to reduce post-harvest losses, we'll need what? We'll need capital formation. So to modernize agriculture, to enhance productivity with better equipment, with technology which can help us go towards precision agriculture, with technologies, physical infrastructure which can allow aquaponics, hydroponics, etc. Can productivity be increased? Yes. Increasing farmers' income, productivity ज़्यादा होगी, farmer का income ज़्यादा होगा. Enhancing economic growth in rural India, enhancing sustainability of agriculture sector. Do we understand ये सारी चीजें कैसे improved gross capital formation is possible है? Now, government of India has been taking several initiatives to promote capital formation in agriculture sector, to improve infrastructure in agriculture sector, to increase investment in physical assets in agriculture sector. One major initiative that was launched in 2014 was Agri-Marketing Infrastructure Sub-Scheme. This was a sub-scheme under Integrated Scheme for Agri-Market. Here the focus was on improving the marketing infrastructure, storage infrastructure. आप APMC मंडीज में जाओगे, आप वहां पे चीजों को स्टोर कर पाओ. तो improving the extent of storage infrastructure through demand-driven credit-linked scheme offering subsidies of up to 25% and 33%, 25% in plain areas and 33% in hilly areas. So what has happened? Who can get, like, if I want to improve the storage facilities, I can go to government and say ki I'm investing this much money, you provide me 25% of it. 25% subsidy will be provided by government. So it can be given to individuals, it can be given to FPOs, it can be given to cooperatives, it can be given to state agencies also if state government want to improve the storage facilities. So one thing to improve physical infrastructure and thus capital formation in agriculture sector, one initiative that is there is agriculture market infrastructure. Okay, what has happened under this so far? Around 48,000 projects were sanctioned for the storage infrastructure with a subsidy of around 4,500 crore rupees. This is the data from this year's Economic Survey of India. As of 30th April 2024, around 48,000 projects have been sanctioned. So 48,000 storage facilities for agriculture sector by individual farmers, by cooperatives, by FPOs, by state government agencies have been approved, where central government subsidy share is around 4,500 crore rupees. Then we have other infrastructure improvement initiatives like Agri Infrastructure Fund, which was launched with a focus on, was launched with a financing facility of rupees 1 lakh crores, which will be dispersed between FY21 to FY26. You will also see Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sampada Yojna. This was focused on improving the post-harvest infrastructure to reduce post-harvest losses. Then 3 farm laws, which have now been repealed, were also focused on improving infrastructure by allowing private mandis. Private mandis mein private players would have come and improved infrastructure. It was also focused on improving capital formation in agriculture by attracting more private players. Okay, because of these initiatives, we will see that gross capital formation as a percentage of agri GVA. Now, if agriculture is contributing 100% to, if agriculture production is 100 crore rupees, उसमें से कितना percentage is being used for infrastructure improvement? That is gross capital formation as a percentage of agri GDP. Total agri produce कितना है, उसका कितना percent is being used for improving capital of the agriculture sector. You'll see here the GCF of agriculture sector and the share of GCF in the agriculture and light sector as a percentage of GVA has been growing steadily. So capital formation in agriculture sector has been growing steadily, but it is mostly, the problem is it is driven by public investment, government investment. Private players ka participation has been very low. Private players participation has been very low. You'll see GCF of agriculture grew at a rate of 19.04% in 22-23. GCF earlier was 17.7% in 21-22. It's showing an increase. In fact, if you look at this entire period, 2016-17 to 2022-23, GCF on an average was 9.7%. Average of this period is 9.7%, but it increased to 19.9% in 2022-23, indicating that gross capital formation in agriculture is going up. If our agriculture output is 100 crore rupees, today around 20 crore rupees का हम capital formation भी कर रहे हैं. Capital formation is basically increasing investment in agriculture. If we increase investment, what happens? In future, output increases. Okay. Why is there a need of improving this further? देखो, in this period, 2016-17 to 2022-23, our GCF on average has been 9.7%. But as per the doubling farmers income DFI 2016 report, if we want to double farmers income, our GCF should be around 10.4%. तो इस number से अभी भी average of long term average is lower. So we need to increase gross capital formation in agriculture sector even today. What are the key hindrances? What are the factors because of which we are not able to increase capital formation in agriculture? एक तो first problem, small and fragmented land holdings. Small and marginal land holding. अब छोटे-छोटे land है, उसके लिए कौन माइक्रो इरिगेशन टूल खरीद रहा है, कौन ट्रैक्टर खरीद रहा है, कौन हार्वेस्टर खरीद रहा है, राइट? इंग्लिश. When there are small fields, people are less motivated to buy harvesters, tractors, and other such equipments. Capital formation, the scope of capital formation reduces. Got it? Then poor participation of private sector, whose share has remained below 2%. Most of the capital formation has been created through government support and not private player support. Public investment has grown, but subsidy bill takes a lot of the government spending on agriculture. So while government is spending a lot of money, but most of it is not going for capital formation. We will see in coming classes, not tomorrow, but in next class when we'll come to the subsidy wala issue. There we'll see that food subsidy and fertilizer subsidy in India are around 2 lakh crore rupees. Earlier, the 3F, food, fertilizer, fuel, used to take biggest chunk of subsidy. But now, because most of our fuel items have been deregulated, their prices have been deregulated. The fuel pay subsidy burden has reduced to around 30,000 crore rupees. But for food and fertilizer, it still remains very high. So every year, government is spending around 4 lakh crore rupees. On what? On food and fertilizer subsidy. Just imagine if we had not needed that subsidy, that 4 lakh crore rupees could have been spent on improve capital investment in agriculture, improving the gross capital formation of agriculture sector. So another challenge which is there in the growth, we said that small and marginal land holdings is a challenge, private sector ka low participation is a challenge, but another challenge is this huge subsidy burden because of which government is not able to focus on improving infrastructure. Then low farm incomes. This is another issue. If agriculture, say farmers were earning a lot of money, they were left with a lot of surplus. What would have happened? They could have invested that surplus into improved infrastructure. But when input cost is increasing, intermediaries are earning a lot of money, but farmers are not able to garner the benefit of increased prices, increased productivity. They are not left with any money. They are not able to invest a lot. Do we understand these things? These are some of the challenges which we need to deal with. Now, isme na actually by mistake I forgot to add the question there. There was a question. Horticulture वाला ये जो ग्रॉस कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन वाला टॉपिक है ना, इसमें शुरू में क्वेश्चन लिखा हुआ है? लिखा हुआ है क्या? अच्छा ठीक. Practice question is there? Okay. Let's go to the practice question. You will see what was the question. Why is it important to increase gross capital formation in agriculture sector? Discuss the key steps taken by Government of India towards achieving this. What are the key factors hindering the increase in GCF in the sector? हमने आप देखोगे, we have answered all three of these things in here. They haven't asked what should be the way forward, but we should be able to answer it. Now, when in a 15-mark question, we already have 3 sub questions, adding one more paragraph for way forward becomes difficult. Adding one more paragraph for way forward becomes difficult because we may not have that kind of space and time left when we already have answered 3 sub questions within a question. So in this kind of situation, while concluding, हम ना अपने way forward के key points अपने conclusion में लिखते हैं. जैसे while concluding, we write the key points of our way forward here. An integrated and holistic approach consisting of increased subsidy on machinery and custom hiring centers, consolidation of land holding, promoting private investment and rationalization of subsidy expenses will be needed to enhance gross capital. अब सारे points तो हम अलग से explain नहीं कर सकते. We have said these are the most important things which are needed to enhance the gross capital formation in agriculture sector. Another way of concluding. When you're not able to write way forward, just take the key points of way forward and conclude your answers. To resolve these problems, we should focus on these. This is how you conclude your answer. On a positive side, you have talked कि यार बहुत सारे challenges हैं. Your conclusion should not be these challenges are hindering our ability to achieve capital formation. That's like a problem छोड़ के चले गए. You say to resolve these challenges, we should take steps like consolidation, contract farming, promoting private investment, rationalizing subsidies, and so on. Right? This will be a positive ending to your answer. कि यार solution बता के end कर रहा है, ना कि बस problem ही problem बता के end. Okay. Let's now go to the topic of Agri-Credit. Yes. Increasing subsidy on machinery. Rationalization of food subsidy, fuel subsidy, and increasing subsidy on machinery is small and marginal farmers cannot themselves buy machinery. We want to increase investment in physical asset. तो subsidy का पैसा कहां जाना चाहिए? In capital rather than inputs में वैसे. That is what we are trying to say. You can rephrase it in terms in which you are better able to explain it better, but that is the idea. Okay, now let's come to the topic of Agri-Credit, Agri loans. Now there are a few online questions. Rachna is asking, sir, what is demand-driven meaning? So demand-driven is better. You are demanding that I want to create a storage facility. I am investing 1 crore rupees here. Government 25% you give me under that scheme. So that in that scheme, the subsidy is given to you. Subsidy that is given to you is demand-driven. Government is not asking individual farmer, you compulsorily create the storage facility. If you are creating storage facility, if you are demanding it, then the subsidy is coming. That is the meaning of demand-driven. Then what are CHC? Similarly asking custom hiring centers. We'll study about custom hiring centers. We'll study a topic of agri-mechanization. There we'll study about it. But these are places from which farmers can rent machinery. See, small and marginal farmer does not need to buy a harvester at her own. Why? She would not be using that harvester throughout the year. She perhaps needs that harvester for half a day, 4 hours, 5 hours. So she should be able to rent it. The government, in order to promote agri mechanization, is promoting setting up of these custom hiring centers. Sorry, नहीं, that's farm app. पढ़ेंगे, उन सब के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. Farms app बोलते हैं उसे, जहां से you can connect to these custom hiring centers. That is not the focus. अभी agri mechanization is not something that we have studied. We'll study all about it. Don't worry. I promise you this. That for now we are focusing on 3 points of agriculture. Once your agriculture section is over, in a concise manner, the number of topics that you are covering, you will not find it in any book. We'll make sure that each and every relevant thing is there in your notes. इकोनॉमी की जितनी भी बुक्स आती है ना, रिकमेंडेड बुक्स, ये पढ़ना चाहिए, ये पढ़ना चाहिए, ये पढ़ना चाहिए, I promise you this, you will have more number of topics, more updated data, more things in your notes than in any other source. No matter आपने एग्रीकल्चर कहां से पढ़ा होगा पहले, you will start feeling like यहीं से पढ़ना चाहिए. This is more systematic, this is more to the point, this is more like intro ऐसे है, body ये है, conclusion में इस तरह से करा जाता है, rather than बहुत सारा ज्ञान. Okay, so mechanization, farms app, e-technology in the aid of farmers, don't worry about anything. मेरी जिम्मेदारी है वो. ठीक है, जो मेरी सिरदर्दी है वो मेरी रहने दो. आप रिवाइज करो, आंसर लिखो, इंप्रूव करो, रिवाइज करो, आंसर लिखो, इंप्रूव करो, रिवाइज करो, आंसर लिखो, इंप्रूव करो. You will be doing very well. I promise you, you will feel like the examination paper is from your notes. You'll feel like that. क्योंकि when you complete each and everything in the syllabus, वो कहां से बनाएंगे पेपर? When you are most well read, most prepared student, अगर आपके नोट्स में से नहीं है तो कोई भी नहीं कर पा रहा होगा, कोई भी नहीं, क्योंकि सबने उससे कम ही पढ़ा होगा, सबने उससे कम टॉपिक्स पढ़े होंगे फॉर प्रिपरेशन. दैट आई एश्योर यू. ओके, लेट्स नाउ कम टू दिस. कन्हैया जी इज आस्किंग व्हाट वाज द लास्ट टॉपिक. अबे let's come to Agri-Credit or Agri-Loan, loan to agriculture sector, है ना. तो farmers or agriculture sector gets loan for different things. One, for your day-to-day requirement, for buying seeds, fertilizers, short-term loans. You need for that. You need short-term loans for this purpose. You want to buy seeds, you want to buy fertilizers. Using that, you will do cultivation. In 5-6 months, you will be harvesting and paying the loan amount back. These are short-term loans, right? Then there are medium-term and long-term loans which are needed for bigger infrastructure, like you want to buy a tractor. Now, you may be returning the money for that tractor in next 5 years. Slowly. This is like something like when people buy a car, they have a mechanism of EMI. Or for bigger projects, you want to create a storage facility. वहाँ पे the investment required is much higher, so the loan amount will be much higher. You will not be able to pay it in one crop cycle. But all these things are included under the definition of agri loan. So if a question on agri loan comes, if a question on agriculture loan comes, there are different ways in which we can introduce. एक है define करना what is agri loan or what is agri credit. Agri-Credit is the credit designed to meet the financing needs of agricultural farmer and agriculture businesses. It enables farmers and agri enterprises to access funds for agri production, equipment purchase, expanding operation, warehousing, etc. Entrepreneurs may need to go for warehousing. That's also part of agri loan. Then there is some data-based introduction mechanism also. You will be surprised to know that when compared to the situation of 1970s, 1960s and 70s, so today, the agri loan as a percentage of agri GDP, if agriculture output is 100 crore rupees, if agri output is 100 crore rupees, how much loan is agriculture sector able to get? It has increased drastically. In 1970s, agri credit as a percentage of agri GDP was 2%. If agriculture output was 100 crore rupees, the loans which agriculture sector was getting was only 2%, that is 2 crores. Whereas it has increased to 47% today, indicating drastic improvement in the Agri-Credit scenario. We'll understand the reasons for it. Someone is yes. This question is a sign of your lack of knowledge of economic development. देखो, please understand, he has a genuine question which should come from a person who does not know economic development, economic growth में loans का क्या रोल है. एक बच्चा बोलेगा सर पापा पहले तो हमें लोन लेना ही नहीं पड़ता था, अब we are taking 47%. No, please understand, when you are taking 47% amount तक का loan, it is indicating that this is the amount of investment which is coming. Banks जिन sectors में, let's say automobile sector, it has taken a lot of loan. What does it indicate? There is lot of expansion going on in that sector, right? So loans are good, है ना? Loans are good का मतलब ये नहीं है कि तुम अब आईफोन के लिए क्रेडिट कार्ड पे आईफोन ले लिया. Loans are good for businesses, है ना? Investment loans are good, वो फ्यूचर में कंट्री के ग्रोथ में इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है. कंजम्पशन लोन्स, आई do not recommend anyone कि you go and buy a phone with on EMI. अलग लेवल की बकचोदियां होती है, सॉरी, अलग लेवल पे बकवास चीजें हैं वो. we should not be doing that. We should not be doing that. Of buying a two-wheeler or four-wheeler or loan, no. Take a home loan, fine, because it's a appreciating asset. For a depreciating asset, आप लोन लेके भाई जब अफोर्ड नहीं कर पाते फोर व्हीलर मत करो. डोंट बाय. It's not that bad not to not have four wheeler. Like my father rode a bicycle till 2013. 2012 में 2013 में I was working at Microsoft. तब तक मेरे पापा बाइसिकल चला रहे थे, जब तक मेरे सारे लोन्स पे नहीं हुए थे. 2013 में I bought a scooter. It was not a bad thing. जब से स्कूटर खरीदा मेरे पापा की हेल्थ खराब रहने लगी है. हाँ, he has gained weight. He is facing issues of BP and sugar. पहले साइकिल था, मस्त चिल जीवन था. हम ना शो ऑफ के चक्कर में कि दुनिया क्या बोलेगी, दुनिया क्या सोचेगी, सब कचरा कर लेते हैं. We could not afford it. That's another thing. अभी 2021 में I bought a car. That was for my dad. I wanted to gift him a car. वो नहीं चलाते, 30 दिन में एक बार निकालते मंदिर जाने के लिए. उन्हें हमने जैसे तैसे सीख लो. बोलते बेटा तू ले जा. मेरे को क्या करना, मैं यहाँ पे रहता हूँ, यहाँ आता हूँ. बोलते मुझे क्या करना. I wanted him to have a car for that purpose, but उसके लिए लोन नहीं लेके लिया यार. अरे छोटी मोटी लिए तुम ऐसे सपने मत देखो, बहुत पैसे नहीं है मेरे. पता है अभी किस दिन ना आप सबको मैं अपने ऐसे रूम पे लेके चलूंगा. आई स्टिल लिव इन माई स्टूडेंट रूम, जहां पे मैं एज अ स्टूडेंट रहता था व्हेन आई वाज प्रिपेयरिंग. एग्जैक्टली इन दैट रूम. द ओनली थिंग दैट हैज चेंज्ड दिस, नाउ आई डू नॉट वरी कि एसी कितने टाइम चल रहा है. जब स्टूडेंट था तो उसकी चिंता रहती थी ना, यार 2 घंटे चला के बंद कर दो, बिल ज्यादा आ जाएगा, क्योंकि पैसे नहीं थे. अदरवाइज नथिंग हैज चेंज्ड इन माय लाइफ. आई स्टिल लिव देयर. आप मुझे शाम को वहां से पैदल आते हुए देख लोगे, वहां जाते हुए देख लो. वो आरन में ही रहता हूँ, उसी रूम में. बिकॉज देखो, वी हैव क्रिएटेड एन इंस्टीट्यूशन, बट this institution we have not been able to make it very profitable. We are growing because of good reviews, good feedback, but this we have tried to keep fee and everything on the lower side. We have tried to ensure that best possible teachers are there. तो पैसे वैसे ज्यादा नहीं है, बट रिस्पेक्ट मिल रही है, ग्रोथ हो रहा है, वो भी आ जाएंगे. पैसे कहाँ जाएंगे, है ना? why is it possible to do all this? Because I do not believe in show off. मुझे नहीं चाहिए भाई, मुझे नहीं रहना कुछ बड़े घर में. मतलब एनवायरमेंट का टीचर बोल रहा है कि जबरदस्ती 3 BHK ले लो. अबे अकेला रहता हूं. नहीं, माय फ्रेंड्स टेल मी व्हाई डोंट यू टेक अ 3 BHK इन न्यू राजेंद्र नगर और गो टू द DLF. मैंने कहा क्यों जाऊं, क्या करना है मुझे जाकर. उन्हें वो तो इन्वेस्टमेंट के पर्सपेक्टिव से देख लूंगा ना, बट क्यों जाऊं. व्हाई डू आई नीड अ हाउस जहां पे 3 लाइट्स जलेंगी और वो, व्हेन आई कैन स्टडी हियर. मुझे पढ़ना ही है, दिन भर रात भर पढ़ता हूं मैं. I'll go home, I'll reach home at 10, I'll have my dinner by 10:30. 11 बजे मैं पढ़ने बैठ जाऊंगा, 3-4 बजे तक पढ़ूंगा. जैसे मैं स्टूडेंट फेज में रह रहा था वैसे ही रह रहा हूं। तो व्हाई डू आई नीड अ बिग, तो ये ना जनरल जो शो ऑफ का चक्कर होता है ना, ये ले लो, आईफोन खरीद लो, महंगे कपड़े खरीद लो, ऐसा कर लो, ऐसा कर लो, इन चक्कर में हम ज्यादा डूबे रहते हैं। जीवन में वो है ना कि जो हमें जरूरतें हैं सिर्फ उतनी फुलफिल करने पे फोकस करें, विल बी एबल टू डू वेरी वेल, वेरी गुड थिंग्स इन लाइफ, विल बी एबल टू फोकस ऑन आवर बिजनेस, विल बी एबल टू फोकस ऑन आवर फैमिली। बट व्हेन वी स्टार्ट थिंकिंग ऑफ अब तो कुछ शॉपिंग करके आते हैं, अब तो कहीं ये करते हैं, अब तो कुछ वैसा करते हैं, अब तो बड़ा घर ले लेते हैं, बड़ी गाड़ी ले लेते हैं, तो क्या क्या करना है उसका? आई डोंट इवन नो हाउ टू ड्राइव अ कार, पापा ने सीखी है अभी, आई डोंट नो। और मेरा कभी कोई ऐसा है ना इंटेंशन भी नहीं रहा, मुझे कभी जरूरत नहीं रही, मतलब जब जरूरत आएगी सीख लेंगे। बट द पॉइंट इज दैट दोज आर नॉट द थिंग्स व्हिच शुड अट्रैक्ट अस। आपके लिए हमेशा फोकस ये होना चाहिए, हाउ डू आई इंप्रूव माय प्रिपरेशन। योर फोकस शुड नेवर बी, आप कभी ये मत सोचना वो कितने आईफोन लेके चल रहा है, वो कितने अच्छे घर में रह रहा है, वो उसका पीजी भी कितना अच्छा है, नहीं, हाउ डू आई इंप्रूव माय प्रिपरेशन। Focus on that and you will see most important thing will be focused. If you keep on thinking about 10 different things, most important things will get ignored. Don't ever ignore that. For me, the most important thing right now is this institution. Ensuring that here we are able to give the best possible education at the least possible price. हमने, do you know, we launched a GS Foundation program in 50,000 rupees. Students came to us and जो 50,000 rupees fees देखते थे admission नहीं लेते थे. They used to think कुछ scam है. In March, April, we launched our GS Foundation program at 55, not 50,000, 55,000 rupees. We had to increase the fee to 1 lakh rupees because they thought कि 55,000 में कुछ गड़बड़ हो जाएगा, कुछ स्कैम हो जाएगा. And they were right in a sense कि उन्हें लग रहा था कि ऐसा हो सकता है. But we want to ensure कि there would be a time when everyone would know कि we have a good set of team, will be teaching very well, and तब हम fee वापस 50,000 करें. Because we think we can run institution profitably at that fee also by giving the best possible payments to all the teachers. It's possible. 1.5 lakh rupees, 2 lakh rupee fee is just exploitation. वो ना डिमांड सप्लाई और उसके बेसिस पे नहीं है, वो बेसिस किसके बेसिस पे है? वो इस बेसिस पे है दुनिया को कितना बेवकूफ बना. It's not on that basis. We can, if we have 1,000 students in GS Foundation program, ऐसे बहुत सारे इंस्टीट्यूशन है जहां है, 50,000 फी में हम बेस्ट पॉसिबल एजुकेशन दे सकते. एंड वी वांटेड टू अचीव दैट. वैसे अब कोई बात नहीं, फी ज्यादा करके कम करेंगे. अभी व्हेन नो, like why did we keep the fee of this program to be only 11,000 for online students? We wanted more and more students to get to know entire team, how we will deliver in these students. Once you know that, you आप खुद जाके बाहर बोलोगे अरे GS फाउंडेशन, go and do it level up. आप अपने दोस्तों से, जूनियर से जो आएंगे, आप ये बोलोगे. एंड आई प्रॉमिस यू, यू विल बी डूइंग दैट इन जनवरी. आप लोगों ने जीएस फाउंडेशन अलग अलग जगह पढ़ा होगा, आप यहाँ भी पढ़ ही रहे हो एक तरीके से. जीएस फाउंडेशन में इतना एग्रीकल्चर नहीं पढ़ा था आपने, उससे ज्यादा पढ़ के जाओगे. एंड यू विल रिकमेंड एवरीवन. एंड दिस इज हाउ वी वांट टू डू. तो अब माय फोकस इज दिस. आई एम नॉट वरीड अबाउट एनीथिंग एल्स. मेरे मम्मी पापा मुझे लड़कियों से मिलवाने की कोशिश करते रहते हैं. कई बार बोलते हैं मेक अ प्रोफाइल, रिज्यूमे. मैं बोलता हूँ यूट्यूब वीडियो है, शेयर कर देना, बोलना लाइक सब्सक्राइब और कर ले. व्यूज भी बढ़ने चाहिए ना. अरे व्हाट वुड यू गेट आउट ऑफ अ शीट ऑफ पेपर? व्हाट वुड यू नो अबाउट मी थ्रू अ शीट ऑफ पेपर? मेरे कई घंटों के वीडियोस है, देखो आराम से. मैं बीच बीच में बकचोदी बोल देता हूं. मुझे पता होना चाहिए दिस इज व्हाट आई एम, दिस इज व्हाट माय पर्सनालिटी इज, दिस इज व्हाट आई बिहेव, रादर देन एक पेज पे कुछ भी लिख दूंगा कि मेरा इंटरेस्ट ये है, मेरा इंटरेस्ट वो है. चलिए लेट्स कम बैक. तो डेटा बेस्ड इंट्रोडक्शन की बात कर रहे थे. व्हाट वाज डेटा बेस्ड इंट्रोडक्शन? Agri-Credit was 2% of Agri GDP in 1970s. From there, it has come to 47%. So one definition based introduction about Agri-Credit, दूसरा data based introduction about Agri-Credit. कोई recent news, recent update आता है तो we will also make a context based introduction. Ready? If a question on Agri-Credit comes, how do we introduce it? Now, steps taken to promote Agri-Credit. Because देखो, if a question is asked, discuss the key reasons behind improvement in Agri-Credit situation in the country over the last few years. आपसे पूछा है reason. First, you will show improvement. You will say Agri-Credit in India has improved from 2% of agri GDP in 1970s to around 47% in FY20, FY20. This improvement has been made possible because of the following reasons. समझ में आ रहा है? Introducing how simple it is and एकदम relevant introduction. Not कुछ randomly quote बना के रखा हुआ है जो जबरदस्ती घुसाने की कोशिश करते रहते हैं. एकदम relevant introduction. What have been the reasons? If you'll talk about, if you know about, we'll study in banking sector, we'll study the issue of nationalization of banks. But one reason why nationalization was done was the private sector banks were not focused on rural area. They were taking deposits from rural area, but mostly serving corporates. Nationalization led to what? Increased in focus on rural areas. So nationalization of bank. After nationalization of bank, government realized this is not enough. They started regional rural banks. After that, they also started NABARD in 1982. All these initiatives were focused on what? Increasing investment, increasing Agri-Credit. First point, what has been done? What has led to increase in Agri-Credit? Then priority sector lending norms. Priority sector lending norms के अंदर what has RBI said? 18% of the loans which banks will give will go to agriculture sector. 40% will go to priority sector. Of the 40%, 18% is going to agriculture sector. Kisan Credit Card Initiative, which was launched in 1998, was for short-term loans. Farmer को harvesting करनी है. He wants to rent a harvester. Short-term के लिए उसे पैसा चाहिए. He can use Kisan Credit Card and get money. Farmer wants to buy seed. Farmer wants to buy fertilizer. He can use Kisan Credit Card. In 2018-19, Kisan Credit Card has also been expanded to animal husbandry and fishery sector. Modified interest subvention scheme, which has been in force since 2006-7. Here, government provides subsidized, low interest rate पे farmers को loan at the rate of 7%. And if farmers return the money in a timely manner, there is further interest subvention. 3% का और subvention मिल जाता है. Farmers can get loans only at an interest rate of 4% in this way. Then there are other initiatives like joint liability group scheme. What was the idea behind joint liability group? Small and marginal farmers or sharecroppers. Sharecroppers do not own the land, so they do not have anything to mortgage when they are taking loan. In that scenario, banks do not prefer to give loans. So to deal with this situation, joint liability group mechanism was brought under the NABARD initiative. Here, 4 to 10 small and marginal farmers were brought together as the joint liability group. Now, when bank is giving loan to one of them, or if one of them is not able to return the loan, the entire group is liable. So the entire group helps these farmers, and banks are more ready to give loan rather than giving loan to this individual who was not able to give any collateral. So many initiatives have been taken for what? Have been taken for increasing Agri-Credit. Then during natural calamities क्या होता है? Farm loan waivers हो जाते हैं, farm loan को extension मिल जाता है. Agri infrastructure fund, which has been for infrastructure also, various funds have been launched. There also subsidies etc. are provided for loan. So many such initiatives have been taken, and impact has been spectacular. Agri-Credit has grown from 2% to 47. Yeah, 40% लिखा, 47% in 2019-20. When Agri-Credit increases, agri growth increases. Growth in agriculture sector increases. It is ensuring food security. Increased investment has also led to improvement in irrigation system, improvement in storage facilities, diversification and modernization also needed Agri-Credit. That has been made possible. It has also led to income stability for farmers, as farm credit can reduce dependency on unauthorized money lenders. These money lenders used to charge very high interest rate, increased scope for entrepreneurship, agri-business development because loans are available for these things also, and increased contribution of commercial bank, like commercial banks which used to contribute in rural sector or agri loan at very low level. You would see today 79% of the agri loan come from where? From commercial banks, not from regional rural banks or not from cooperatives. Cooperatives only contribute around 15% of 15% of the loan. Regional rural banks contribute to around 5% of the loan. Microfinance institutions contribute to only 1% of the loan. Most of the loan is coming from where? Commercial banks. This has been the impact. So, situation of Agri-Credit, what has been done to improve Agri-Credit in the country. Now, if you come to the second part, second question. अच्छा, यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन लिखना भूल गया हूँ, सॉरी, क्वेश्चन पिछले वाले टॉपिक में नहीं, यहाँ पे लिखना भूल गया, बट यहाँ पे वही बोला है कि व्हाट आर द प्रॉब्लम्स इन एग्री क्रेडिट में. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन में मैंने क्या किया था? फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन वाज द आइडिया ऑफ what is agri credit, what steps have been taken to improve the agri credit situation, what has been its impact. Second question, we were talking about what are the key issues, key concerns which remain in the agri credit situation. Abhi tak we have seen a very, अंग्रेजी में कैसे बोले, very वो वाला future picture, beautiful picture, glossy picture, rosy picture. Yes. सोनू जी क्या हुआ? बंद करना है, बढ़ाना है? हाँ, बढ़ा दो. 24 करो, 24 से ज्यादा कहां बढ़ाओगे? हाँ, ये बंद कर दो सोनू जी, ये बंद कर दो. नहीं ना, आपके पीछे वाले लोग बोल रहे बंद नहीं करना है. इसको ना कुछ फ्लैप को ऊपर नीचे करा जा सकता है, कर दो, वो कर दो. उस बेचारे के ऊपर सारी हवा जा रही है. अबे नीचे हवा नहीं आती है, एकदम एसी के नीचे बैठ जाएगा, साइड में जाती. हो गया, चलो आप खेलो. लेट्स कम हियर. तो issues which remain in agri credit, let us understand. So far we have seen a rosy picture. Yes, agri credit increased from 2% of the GDP to 47%. Now please understand, at that time 2% of agri GDP was very low. Agri GDP has also increased a lot. Uska more than 40% is coming in the form of loan. It means agriculture sector is getting a lot of loans. Yahan pe I haven't talked about introduction because we already have introduction for both the things. Like we have a database introduction, we have a definition based introduction. But what are the key issues, key challenges which the agri credit sector is facing? Acha. What are the key issues that we are facing? Now, here there was a RBI ka internal working group on agri credit. It had done a study and found that agri credit system suffers from a number of limitation. अभी 2-3 साल पहले इनका detailed study आया था. तो rather than just starting to write, I'm saying कि RBI's internal working group on agri credit have identified several challenges with what? Several challenges with agri credit sector. One is it has skewed regional distribution. Skewed regional distribution means there are some regions in India where a lot of loan is given, but there are others where the share of agri loan is very less. For example, southern states get the 40% of the loans. Of all the loans which are given, agri loans which are given in the country, southern states get 40% and northeastern states only get 2%. Now, why do northeastern states get only 2%? One reason is their share in the cropped area, gross cropped area, is very less, only 2.75%. But there are other issues also. वहां पे community ownership है. So community ownership में there is no individual owner of the land. And in that scenario, the ability to get loan becomes difficult because you have to mortgage something. You have to give something to the bank to get loan, which you cannot give because you do not own the land. Who owns the land? The entire community. But there is skewed distribution. No, the eastern states have less loans, southern states have higher, northeastern states have very less loans. Then it mostly benefits large and medium farmers. Small and marginal farmers are not able to get. Most of the farmers are who? Small and marginal. And they are not able to get most of the loans. Then it is biased towards crops. Crops means, dekho, if you remember, crops only contribute to around 56% of the agri GDP. 30% is contributed by livestock sector, around 7% by fishery sector, 7% by agroforestry. But most of the loan is going to what? Crops. Crops ka contribution is around 55%. Remaining 40-45% is contributed by other sectors. They are not able to get it. So there is skewedness. Skewedness regional, skewedness among farmers. Rich farmers are getting the loans, not the small and marginal, and skewedness in the focus on, there is more focus on crops and less on other allied activities. Teen skewedness, like what are the key challenges in the Agri-Credit system? There are three key issues that we have understood. Three kinds of skewedness. Then another issue is, while crops are getting a lot of loan, but those loans are not being used for capital formation. Agar farmer loan leke infrastructure improve kare, it will lead to more better output in future. That's not happening. Low capital formation. Most of the Agri-Credit is short term in nature and is being used for production purposes. And finally, these regular loan waivers are creating moral hazard, are harming the Agri-Credit framework in the country. Why? What moral hazard? Like what governments do, like election se pehle, state governments would announce, we will give you loan waiver if we come to power. So there is this farmer. What's your name? Rishabh. This farmer took loan for agriculture, did not do agriculture, पी पाके पड़ा हुआ था. पी पाके पड़ा हुआ था means drunk. He was wasting his money in alcohol. Fine. After the harvesting season, banks came to him, loan, give our money back. He's like, I don't have it, and then government announces waiver. You do not have to give the money back. Let's say she's another farmer. What's your name? Shreya. Shreya is a sincere farmer. She took loan. She worked on the field. बैलों को लेके काम किया, पसीने बहाए, and after 6 months she harvested the crop and she returned the loan in a timely manner. Okay, but then she sees 3 months later, government has waived off his loan, and she's like, so next time when she takes loan, she's also like, aane do elections, let some waiver announcement happen. So it creates a moral hazard, which is also hampering the Agri-Credit situation in the country. So we will discuss the issue of farm loan waiver separately. Subsidy wala initiatives have discussed karenge. Subsidy is mentioned in your syllabus. There we'll talk about MSP. There we'll talk about issue of farm loan waiver. There we'll discuss this issue in more detail. But here, the key concerns, key problems in the Agri-Credit situation. So skewedness, three kind of skewedness: regional, among farmers, rich farmers are getting benefit, and among output, crops are getting most of the loans. And then low capital formation and loan waivers creating moral hazard and creating pressure on other states also to announce loan waivers. These are some of the major issues, some of the major concerns. So how do we deal with above challenges? देखो, एक तो है skewedness वाला issue, right? So we need to improve that. How do we improve? One, we should focus on capital formation. So we should focus more on long-term agri loans rather than short-term. Short-term will always be used for production. Dusra, we should set up a credit guarantee fund, the way we have it for MSME sector. What happens in credit guarantee fund? MSME sector is given loan without any collateral. In case MSME sector is not able to return its loan, the bank will be helped by credit guarantee fund. In the same way, for agriculture sector, small and marginal farmers may not have a lot of collateral. They should be able to get loans. Then extend the limit of collateral free loan to 5 lakh rupees. from around 1.6 lakh rupees, which is the limit right now. We need to increase that. Then synergize basket of financial initiative with use of technology. Here what we're saying is digitalization and updation of land records in time bound manner can help us or can help banks better understand that this farmer owns this land and thus giving loan is okay. Giving this loan is feasible. Abhi right now it's a very cumbersome process which hampers the situation. Then we need to reduce the skewedness. So skewedness reduce karne ke liye, so one thing is we should be focusing on small and marginal farmers. So under priority sector lending, 18% of the loan needs to go to agriculture sector. We can create a sub target within agriculture. Of this 18%, let's say 40% or 50% should compulsorily go to small and marginal farmers. We can also think of combo loans. Combo loans would be like loan for crops plus animal husbandry. So in this way, other allied activities, share of loans in the other allied activities is also going to increase. State should also reform restrictive land leasing laws. अब land leasing laws को थोड़ा समझते हैं. We will under land reforms we'll study this in a lot of detail, but let's understand the problem in India's land leasing situation. See, at the time of independence, let's say there was this landlord Rishabh who had lots of land. So what did he used to do? He used to lease the land. थोड़े पे तुम उगा लो, थोड़े पे तुम उगा लो, थोड़े पे तुम उगा लो, 50% of the crop मुझे. Because he owns so much land, he cannot cultivate all of it himself. He used to lease it. But government wanted land reforms to happen. Someone who has so much land should be giving up the land so that land can go to landless class. Land reform, this is what we wanted. So governments all over the country made very restrictive laws on leasing. He was leasing land earlier, this landlord, but then government made this kind of law. The rent will not be more than 25% of the crop. If someone, let's say he's the person who's doing sharecropping thing. What's your name? Anubhav. Government also said, if you have been cultivating a land for 10 years, you have the right to buy the land. So these kind of things were done at the time of independence or right after the independence, so that people who have a lot of land, they have that lot of land because of the zamindari system and all those things that existed. They should give up that land today so that land reforms can happen. That was the idea behind land leasing, restrictive land leasing laws. But what it led to was informalization of leasing. Now he's giving land on lease, but he's not documenting it. He's saying, "तो मुझे 50% दे देना." Fine, but we do not have any document, because on document you cannot take more than 25% share. On document, if he has been cultivating the land for 10 years, he'll be saying, "I'm buying this land now. Now this land belongs to me." This kind of thing has made life difficult for farmers. In the absence of formal leasing, when they do not have documents, they cannot go to bank and say, "See, I am the cultivator. Give me agri loan." He cannot do that because he doesn't have any proof to show that he is the cultivator. So we need to do what? We need to liberalize our land leasing laws so that the landowner will be more ready. Right now, what is happening is, in many places, these landowners, these were the powerful section of the village, they have moved to cities. And they're leaving their land fallow also, but they're not ready to lease it because of the restrictive laws. We need to liberalize. We need to liberalize land leasing laws so that on documents thing would be there and these people will be able to get loans. The sharecroppers will be able to get agri loans. So we will study more about it in the topic of land reforms. Don't worry. Abhi, if you don't know it, here in this question we'll only be able to write one line. What do we need to do? We need to liberalize land leasing laws to promote formal land leasing, which will allow sharecroppers to access Agri-Credit. This is what we'll be able to write. Isse zyada will not be able to write. Facilitate and promote long-term loans to farmers. Avoid blanket loan waivers. We will study this topic also in a lot of detail. Rather than announcing all the farm loans are waived, only those farm loans where farmers are in a lot of stress. Farmer is small and marginal and doesn't have a lot of assets should be waived off in disaster prone areas, or some crops getting damaged. For example, cotton crops have been getting damaged in Rajasthan region for many years now, for those crops, rather than blanket waivers. Like 2008 में Manmohan Singh government had announced a mega loan waiver. It is said that one reason for 2009 UPA election win, one major reason was the MG Narega. It led to lots of jobs or lots of income for landless people. But another reason was this big farm loan waiver. Right? Are we able to understand? So we have to avoid this bank loan waivers to improve the credit culture. There are other reasons also for which this loan waiver needs to be avoided. Blanket loan waiver needs to be avoided, but to improve credit culture. Then enhance focus on public investment. Like increased gross capital formation through public investment will stimulate demand for investment credit in agriculture sector. Cooperative federalism for agri reforms. Here what we're saying is, देखो, agri reforms became difficult. Agri reforms became difficult how? When central government came up with the 3 farm laws, it was opposed by various state governments too. Plus, it created farm protest and eventually government had to take it back. We need to promote a cooperative federalism mechanism, something similar to GST regime. In GST system, what happens? There is a GST council. They come and decide what happens to GST. ऐसे ही agri tax reforms के लिए we need to create a cooperative federalism structure on the line of GST council, where all the state government, central government can come together and through some special kind of majority take decisions on. Not every state may agree to it, but if most of the states agree to those reforms, those should be implemented. These are other things that we need to take care of. So while various reforms over the last 50 years have improved farm credit situation in the country, more work is needed to make the system more inclusive, equitable, and effective. We have seen improvement happening, but we see several challenges also, and we need to work on those. Agri-Credit situation, Agri-Credit scenario. I hope you understand this. We have studied two different kind of things. One, how Agri-Credit improved, reasons why Agri-Credit is significant, how Agri-Credit improved. Second, what are the challenges which remain and how those challenges can be dealt with. Yes. राज्य सभा का काम जॉइंट लाइक ऑल इंडिया सर्विसेज थोड़ी बनानी है. अरे ऐसा होता नहीं है. तो कहाँ ये सब हो, कहाँ राज्यसभा, मतलब ही इज राइट कि राज्यसभा का रोल ही ये है कि स्टेट के व्यू पॉइंट्स को यहाँ लाया जाए, है ना. दे आर राज्यसभा मेंबर्स आर कमिंग, दे आर रिप्रेजेंटिंग द एमएलएज इन अ वे. तो एमएलएज उनको इलेक्ट कर रहे हैं, जो उनका व्यू पॉइंट है वो यहाँ पे आए, बट वो हो तो नहीं रहा ना. फिर हमें जीएसटी काउंसिल और दोस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स वुड नॉट हैव बीन नीडेड. राइट, लेट्स नाउ कम टू this part of the syllabus. अभी तक हमने जो चीजें पढ़ी, those were not mentioned in the syllabus but were important. That is why we studied them. Now, different types of irrigation systems and storage. This is mentioned in the syllabus and these are the questions which have been asked. मैंने गलती से ना एक फसल बीमा योजना वाला क्वेश्चन यहाँ डाल दिया, ignore it. But rest of the questions. What are the major challenges faced by Indian irrigation system in recent times? State the measures taken by government for efficient irrigation management. You will see again the same things getting repeated again and again. Irrigation system में क्या challenges हैं? Recently हमने क्या steps लिए हैं to improve to ensure efficient irrigation? This was asked this year, 2024 means. हाँ, और भी है, जैसे वो पोल्यूशन से रिलेटेड है, रिवर पोल्यूशन पे क्वेश्चन है ना, ऐसे वाटर स्ट्रेस से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन है, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन. इरिगेशन का ये एक अकेला क्वेश्चन. In 2021, they asked how and to what extent would micro-irrigation helping solving water crisis situation in the country. So, a question in general. In 2024, they asked a question on general challenge in irrigation and how efficient irrigation is being promoted in the country. In 2021, they asked micro-irrigation कैसे इंडिया के water stress वाली problem को resolve करेगा. then suggest some measures to improve water storage and irrigation system to make it judicious use under depleting circumstances. So how we can ensure better water storage and better irrigation system. What is water use efficiency? Describe the role of micro-irrigation in increasing water use efficiency. Do we see repetition happening? What is allelopathy? Discuss its role in major cropping system of irrigated agriculture. Allelopathy is more of a science tech question, but क्योंकि यहाँ पे major irrigated system से connect करके उन्होंने question पूछ लिया था, तो we will discuss it here. And then this was a question on Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna, not on this, but because insurance as such is not mentioned anywhere. Insurance is not mentioned. They could have asked this question because subsidy was there. Issues related to subsidies in syllabus, and under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna, government is giving a lot of subsidy. Or in general, when something flagship is happening, something big is happening, it need not be in syllabus. They do ask those things. But in today's class, we'll also try to ensure that Fasal Bima Yojna wala topic also gets covered. So given the in this booklet, today's class नहीं, आज हम 9 बजे छोड़ देंगे, don't worry. So given the vulnerability of Indian agriculture to vagaries of nature, discuss the need for crop insurance and bring out the salient features of Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna. These are certain areas, certain questions that we want to deal with. We have looked at the syllabus. हम syllabus भी syllabus is major irrigation systems, different types of irrigation and irrigation systems, and storage. सबके advantages, limitations. Then what are the key challenges India's irrigation system is facing? How can we resolve those challenges? Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sichai Yojna, the flagship initiative for irrigation. We'll study about that. We'll study about watershed development. We'll study about micro-irrigation. Watershed development पे भी GS1 में क्वेश्चन आ जाते हैं, या फिर environment related questions भी आ जाते हैं. Micro-irrigation and then allelopathy वाला question. These are the major areas we want to cover before we go to Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojna. That is the last topic in today's booklet. Let us go to the first topic: irrigation situation in India. What is the scenario system? तो देखो, सबसे पहले we are talking about introduction. Introduction में ना यहाँ पे irrigation situation in India में how much of our agri land is irrigated. That is what we want to speak about. And उसके लिए latest economic survey of India से I'm using some data. As per economic survey of India 2023-24, only 55% of India's total cropped area is irrigated. अब this number may vary in other sources. Some may say कि around 50% is irrigated. Some may say less than 50% is irrigated. But the latest data that I have from authentic government source is the economic survey of India. अभी जुलाई में आया है. In the older sources, I myself have taught less than 50% of India's agriculture is irrigated. But अब मैं क्या पढ़ाऊंगा? अब से मैं क्या use करूंगा? Around 55% of India's gross cropped area is irrigated. It means that around 45%, almost 50% of our land is rain-fed, is dependent on. Yes. क्या करें? उसकी वजह से आ गया, ठीक है ना, इसीलिए तो ग्रॉस क्रॉप्ड एरिया बोल, नेट क्रॉप्ड एरिया नहीं बोल ना, ये तो है ना, ठीक है. तो दिस इज द सिचुएशन, दिस इज द सिनेरियो. उसका एग्रीकल्चर ऑप्शनल है, उसके डिटेल में नहीं जाना है हमें, है ना. वो पागल है नहीं, पागल नहीं है, बट he has to understand various other nitty-gritties. We do not have to worry about it. राइट? आप सही बोल रहे हो. ये क्या बोल रहा है कि सर एक ही लैंड है ना जो इरिगेटेड है, उसमें मल्टीपल क्रॉप्स हो जा रहे हैं, तो जो ग्रॉस क्रॉप्ड एरिया है वो अपना बढ़ जाता है और इरिगेटेड वाला भी बढ़ जाता है क्योंकि ये 2 बार काउंट हो रहा है. राइट? वो वाला. तो 55% कहाँ गया अपना? Only 55% of India's total cropped area is irrigated. This is the data that we are going to use in our answers. But what another thing that we wanted to say about is अभी भी 45% of our agriculture is happening how? राम भरोसे. Rain fed is भगवान भरोसे. Right? Intro to significance of water, or water ka scarcity situation. Water is a scarce natural resource. India has around 17% of the world's population and only 4% of the water resource. In this scenario, irrigating all agricultural field would be difficult. But why do we want to focus so much on irrigation? We have understood the situation. What is the scenario right now? Why do we want to focus on irrigation? Why irrigation is so crucial? Why irrigation is so important? One, एक तो rain पे dependency is not right because our rainfall is irregular. Then irrigation facilities have increased agri-out. It has been seen that the irrigated fields have higher productivity when compared to unirrigated ones, because unirrigated ones may we are not assured of how water would come, timely water would be available or not. Yahan pe timely water is available. Multiple crops are possible on irrigated fields. Land se productivity badhega. Even during winters, when conditions are dry, even during the dry season, you'll be able to grow crops if irrigation facilities are available. Where irrigation facilities are not available, उस time आप क्या करते हो? During monsoon, you'll be able to grow crops, but not otherwise. Then increasing area under cultivation. जब Satluj से Yamuna river से water started coming to different parts of Punjab, Haryana, even Rajasthan, what happened? A lot of places jahan pe in the past agriculture could not happen, now it is possible. So area under agriculture could be expanded with irrigation facilities. Then high yielding varieties of seeds. One of the prerequisites that they have is more fertilizer requirement and more irrigation requirement. It reduces instability of the output level. Why? Because in the absence of irrigation facilities, if rainfall is not happening in a timely manner, output suffers. But when we have assured source of water supply, output can be controlled, output can be balanced. So the variability reduces. Then there are environmental benefits also. Irrigation sometimes can contribute to groundwater recharge, not always. आप अगर groundwater extract करके irrigation कर रहे हो तो it's hampering it. But when canal irrigation is happening, in places where canal irrigation is taking place, the water seeps into the ground also, and groundwater recharge is also taking place. Then social benefits are there. The regions with good irrigation facilities have also shown better living standards, better socio-economic development when compared to regions where irrigation facilities are absent. Then there are certain other indirect benefits of irrigation. Employment potential of irrigated land increases. It also helps in developing allied activities, means of water transport, etc. एक study है. It has been estimated that for every ₹100 of direct benefit from Bhakra Nangal Dam, there was a generation of ₹90 of indirect benefit. Because of dam, various direct benefits were clearly visible in terms of electricity, in terms of water supply, and so on. But there were several indirect benefits emerged. So that is what we are trying to say. There are indirect benefits of irrigation facilities in terms of improved employment, in terms of improved allied activities, and so on. So why irrigation is crucial? Why irrigation is important? This is the situation. This is the scenario. Now, in India, there are three major kinds of irrigation. One is well or tube well mechanism. Basically, groundwater से हम जो irrigation कर रहे हैं. Well में भी what are we doing? We are extracting water from ground, and tube well में our well is tube का size का. But eventually water is pulled from the ground only. Submersible में water is pulled out from the ground only. Then canals. That is another important source of irrigation. And when you will go to South India, tanks are also important mechanisms by which assured irrigation facilities are provided. So syllabus में क्या है? What is mentioned in the syllabus? Different types of irrigation systems and storage. These are the different types that we have. We'll understand these types, their advantages and their limitations. तो यूपीएससी ने ये नहीं पूछा होगा, बट यूपीएससी ने जनरली पूछा ना हमारे इरिगेशन सिस्टम के चैलेंजेस क्या हैं, तो इन सबके चैलेंजेस डिस्कस हो सकते हैं, right? And we are also ensuring that bullet point given in syllabus is highlighted. This is that. I know it. Okay, so wells and tube wells. It's the most important irrigation. In fact, after 1970s, आफ्टर 1970s जितना भी इरिगेटेड एरिया इंक्रीज हुआ है ना कंट्री में, और आफ्टर 1970s whatever irrigated area has increased in the country, 70% of that increase has happened because of groundwater. After 1970s, if let's say 100 hectares of area, more area has been irrigated, 70% of that irrigation is happening from what? Groundwater. Groundwater is the most important source of irrigation in the country. So you may say, sir, 45% is happening through monsoon. Yes, but that land is not called irrigated land, that's called rain-fed area. जो area irrigated है, most of it is getting irrigated from what? From groundwater. It can be well, it can be tube well, it can be submersible and those kind of things, but we're extracting water from ground. So large area of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, they are irrigated with groundwater. Now, what are the advantages of this groundwater irrigation or well and tube well irrigation? There are some advantages and there are some limitations. Advantages may we have, this is the simplest and cost effective. It's easily affordable by poor Indian farmers. Things like wells. In the past, farmers मिलके 2-3 लोग मिलके खुदाई कर देते थे खेतों के खेत में ही साइड में कॉर्नर में they used to create a well. The well used to be affordable in that sense. Then reliable and independent. I'm not dependent on whether canal से water आ रहा है नहीं and who is getting the water first, those kind of things. It is independent. Control will be with farmers. Water quality is also better. Like groundwater generally is less polluted than other kinds of water. In fact, till my graduation, जब तक मैं घर पे जाता था, हमारे वहां जो drinking water था, that was groundwater only. ये आरओ वाला सिस्टम और ये सारी चीजें नहीं थी, और जब तक हम ग्राउंड वाटर कंज्यूम कर रहे थे तब तक we did not find the need of installing RO and all. Now in 2015 we moved to a new house जहां पे ना वो वाला वाटर सप्लाई होता है म्युनिसिपैलिटी वाला, वहां पे सबमर्सिबल लगाना अलाउड नहीं. पहले वी लिव्ड ना अंडर डेवलप्ड रूरल और अर्बन के बीच में जो वो हो जाता है अनऑथराइज कॉलोनीज वाला एरिया, वहां पे जो मर्जी वो कर लो, तो वहां पे हमारा सबमर्सिबल लगा हुआ था, उससे पानी आना. बट नाउ व्हेन वी हैव मूव्ड हियर सबमर्सिबल इंस्टॉल करना अलाउड नहीं है. सप्लाई का पानी आता है, वो गंदा आता है. व्हाट डू यू डू? आरओ लगाओ, फिर आरओ की सर्विसिंग कराओ. डू यू नो आरओ कंपनीज अर्न वे मोर मनी बाय सर्विसिंग देन दी व्हाट दे अर्न थ्रू आरओ. एएमसी जैसे आप अगर एक्वागार्ड वगैरह लेते हो, एएमसी का वो एनुअल मेंटेनेंस चार्जेस वो 4,000-5,000 रुपीज ले लेते हैं. Nowadays a bigger scam has come. वो क्या है, अर्बन, हाँ वो लोग, उन लोगों का तो हर चीज में वो, यू कॉल देम फॉर एसी मेंटेनेंस, बोलेंगे सर आपकी कूलिंग नहीं हो रही है, गैस भी लीक हो रही है, वो भी भरवा लो. आप मना भी करोगे ना, वो कुछ करके चले जाएंगे, 2 दिन बाद उन्हें बुलाना ही पड़ेगा. बोले मैं बोला था. यू कॉल देम फॉर आरओ सर्विस, दिल से दिस आरओ इज गॉन, you should get new RO installed or you should get this component also. That ये ना ध्यान रखना. Only ask them to do जिसके लिए आपने उन्हें बुलाया है. ये पूरा ना उनका भी एक अलग स्कैम चल रहा है, not of the company but of the people who are working. मेरे साथ हो चुका है एक बार. ये भाई साहब आते हैं, अब मैंने एसी सर्विसिंग के लिए बुलाया था मार्च अप्रैल में. भाई साहब आए, बोले सर आपकी कूलिंग अच्छी नहीं है, कहीं से लीक भी हो रहा है. मैंने कहा भाई लीक हो रहा होता तो अब तक सब निकल चुका होता. अब रीस्टार्टेड एंड इट्स वर्किंग. तो नहीं सर प्रेशर नहीं है, ये नहीं है, वो नहीं है, मैं फिल कर देता हूँ, डोंट टेल देम. आप मुझे 2,000 रुपये दे दो, मैं फिल कर देता. मैंने कहा और फिर कूलिंग हुई नहीं तो? नहीं आप, मैं कॉल उठाऊंगा ना. उसने वैसा किया, ही डिड समथिंग. उसने कहीं से कोई लीक नहीं होता. जब लीक होता है तो दे चेक एवरीथिंग नो, वो पानी में डाल के कुछ करके. उन्होंने बस कुछ फू आवाज निकालवाई, 2,000 रुपये ले लिया, चला गया. 3 दिन बाद मैं देख रहा हूँ कोई कूलिंग में कोई चेंज नहीं है, गोली दे रहा था. मैंने उसे कॉल किया, उसने कॉल उठाना ही बंद कर. ऐसे दे हैव डन इट रेगुलरली विद लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल, दे डू इट. तो जस्ट अगर आप किसी को बुला भी रहे हो ना, ये अर्बन कंपनी, जिस चीज के लिए बुलाया वो करवाओ, बोलो अभी कुछ नहीं करवाना. they are the world is full of scamsters. ध्यान रखना उसका. तो कमिंग बैक टू ग्राउंड वाटर से, व्हेन यू आर एक्सट्रैक्टिंग वाटर इट्स क्लीनर. that was the topic that was groundwater. The water is cleaner. Then groundwater also gives you a number of supplementary nutrients. They say certain chemicals from groundwater like nitrate, chloride, sulfate, they are generally found mixed in well water and can be good for agriculture also. So when you are getting water from tube well and all, these kind of nutrients also get into soil, which benefits the crop. But then there are issues. It serves very limited area. A well or a tube well does not serve big areas like canals. Groundwater depletion has emerged as a major problem in areas dependent on groundwater extraction, and the subsidies which government have given on electricity, on water, this has led to over extraction. And over extraction की वजह से what is happening when diesel पे या फिर electricity पे a lot of subsidies, people are overusing it. Most of electricities are coming from fossil fuel. Diesel itself is a fossil fuel. A lot of greenhouse emission is happening. That would not be the case with canal or tank irrigation. So when compared to canal and tank irrigation, ये ज़्यादा climate change भी cause कर रहा है. Groundwater depletion, climate change, and serving limited area. These are some of the limitations of what? Limitations of groundwater irrigation or well or tube well irrigation. Are we comfortable here? Do we understand these things? Now, canals, they contribute to around 24% of the irrigated area. Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and some parts of southern states. Southern states में ना canals बना पाना is very difficult because they are stony and uneven areas. Peninsular region, stony and uneven. So there making canal is very difficult. So most of the canals are situated where? In the Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, the plain. Indus Ganga plain wale region mein it is located. Some part of like coastal areas of Andhra Pradesh, Krishna Godavari canal hai, or some parts of Tamil Nadu have some canal irrigation, but otherwise canal irrigation is mostly confined to the north. Now, what are the advantages? Canals provide a lot of water and serve a lot of extensive irrigation when compared to tube well and well irrigation. Canals may also increase fertility because they bring what? Rivers bring silt. तो canal में जो पानी आ रहा है वो भी silt लेके आएगा. New alluvial soil which will be fertile. Almost free of cost for farmers. Groundwater recharge has also been seen in several areas. Groundwater rise has been seen when canal water comes, and it may also contribute to inland transportation. Inland transportation is way more efficient than railways. Railways is more efficient than roadways. Roadways is more efficient than airways. So least efficient is airways, फिर roadways, फिर railways, and उससे भी ज़्यादा efficient क्या है? Waterways. So in infrastructure, we will study about inland waterways. Don't worry about it. But this can also ensure inland waterways. But what are the challenges? What are the issues? एक तो investment requirement is huge. Creating dams and canals. Then in several of the areas जहाँ से canal जाता है, there has been issue of water logging. Land degradation is happening because of capillary action. Excess water evaporating, salt coming, salt remaining there. This has created problem. Sometimes there are chances of floods also due to overflow of canal water. And then there are challenges which come because of large dams. Large dams have its own negative environmental implications. So these are some challenges which come from canal irrigation. Right? तो हमने पहले well tube well irrigation समझा, advantages, limitations. Then we went to canal irrigation, advantage, limitation. These two things together contribute to 86% of the irrigated area in the country. So canals were contributing to around 24%. So around 60% of the irrigated area is irrigated by wells and tube wells. tank irrigation. Tank irrigation is very common in Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, some parts of West Bengal, Bihar may be tank irrigation. So what is this tank irrigation? A tank acts as irrigation storage system that is developed by constructing a small bund of earth or stones built across a stream, or by diverting water of some small stream, small river. They create boundary walls and they create a tank. Tanks are of varying size, but most of the tanks are small size and are built by individual farmers or group of farmers. Why is it needed? Because in peninsular India, rivers are not perennial. So you have to store their water. During rainy season, a lot of water will flow, but unlike Himalayan rivers, where the snow slowly keeps on melting and the river keeps on getting water throughout the year, that is not the scenario with peninsular river. तो peninsular river का water store करने की specially जरूरत है. Andhra Pradesh, including Telangana, is the largest state of tank irrigation. Around 30% of tank irrigated area of India is located in the older Andhra Pradesh, or Andhra Pradesh, Telangana combined together. Drainage system of Godavari and its tributaries have large number of tanks. The path through which Godavari river goes, it has large number of tanks. Now, what are the advantages? Water conservation. This water anyways would have flown into the ocean. It is not very expensive because these tanks are natural and thus are not very expensive. Generally, वहां पे already कुछ पहाड़ी जैसी जगह होगी, वो थोड़े से wall बना के they'll be making this tank. Then they have long life as these are made on rocky bed and has a long life. Here fishing activities may also go on, and sometimes these tanks have also been known to protect biodiversity. They attract water birds, they attract fish. In this way, they become a important habitation for biodiversity protection. But there are storage. There are limitations. One is the limited storage capacity when compared to dams or canals, and then silting keeps on reducing the capacity of tank, and then you have to regularly go for this desilting, which increases the cost of maintenance. And so these are the important methods or irrigation system storage mechanisms, their advantages and limitations. अब irrigation systems की जब हम बात करते हैं, we can also speak about micro irrigation, but micro irrigation can be used in all three of these methods. चाहे वो ट्यूबवेल से वाटर ले रहे हो, चाहे कैनाल से वाटर आए, चाहे टैंक से वाटर आए, you can use that water more efficiently if you are using the water irrigation micro irrigation mechanism. So we'll study micro irrigation separately in a lot of detail, but what are the key initiatives that we have taken in recent years to promote irrigation in the country? We'll go to that, but let me take these doubts. Rather than loan waiving, we could increase insurance on crops. ठीक है, वो डाउट नहीं पूछा, बता रहा है. How land is degraded through canals? Please explain, sir. देखो बेटा, there are multiple mechanisms when excess water is there on the field. In those places where naturally a lot of water is not available, it creates a capillary action, and a lot of minerals covers the field. Those minerals are saline, those minerals are salty, which leads to increased salination of the field, creating problems. Then water themselves come with a lot of minerals. They evaporate. What is left? Salts are left, or those minerals are left, and that may create problems, that may create issues. Okay, let's come to various initiatives to promote or to increase irrigation cover in the country. One major initiative is Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program. What is this Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program? देखो, irrigation is the responsibility of state governments, and state governments right from 1950s have been developing various dams. वो dam बनाएंगे, and then through canals they will increase the irrigation coverage in the state. That is the idea. But by 1990s, central government realized that many of the states had started some dam projects, but those dam projects are blocked because of limited availability of resources with the state. And many of these dam projects were pretty old, from third 5-year plan, fourth 5-year plan. And they're stuck because of lack of resources with the state governments. So under accelerated irrigation benefit programs, central government came and said, we will give some of the resources, but let's accelerate these projects, construction of these dams, construction of canals, and priority were given to large dams which were older matlab, which were delayed a lot. That is accelerated irrigation benefit program, AIBP. It was launched in 96-97 to provide central loan assistance to states for completion of large and medium irrigation projects which have been stuck for long due to fund crunch. It has now been subsumed under Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sichai Yojna. Abhi hum aayenge. Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sichai Yojna has subsumed three major initiatives. One is AIBP, other is watershed related initiative, third is water efficiency related, irrigation efficiency related initiative. Abhi aate hain, उस पे आएंगे. But accelerated irrigation benefit program is one major initiative. Then Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sichai Yojna. Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sichai Yojna had focus on har khet ko pani, that is increasing the irrigation coverage and per drop more crop more crop per drop more crop, वही की बात है, PDMC, per drop more crop, increasing the water use efficiency. These were the two focus areas. Then to promote water use efficiency, we have micro-irrigation. To promote micro-irrigation, we have micro-irrigation fund under NABARD and under PDMC component of PMKSY. Also micro-irrigation is promoted. Watershed development, which is now a part of Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sichai Yojna, also contributes to improving the water availability. And Jal Shakti Abhiyan, water irrigation promote करने के लिए आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? Water conservation करना पड़ेगा. Jal Shakti Abhiyan is the flagship initiative for water conservation in the country. So these are some major initiatives which have been launched to increase irrigation coverage. But despite all these efforts, even today we see that irrigation system suffers from a number of limitations. There is increasing demand but limited availability of water. With increase in agri production, there is an increasing demand for water, which is taking India towards a water stress condition. We have still not reached that water stress ka definition, where per capita water availability reduces below 1100 cubic meter, but we are moving towards that. Second, regional disparities exist in irrigation development. Most of the irrigation facility development has taken place in northern regions. It is least in northeastern regions. Then tail ender deprivation is another major issue that we are facing. So when canals function, what happens is people or the villages or the agricultural field which are in the beginning of the canal, they receive a lot of water. But people who are living or agricultural field which are towards the end of these canals may run for several kilometers, and by the time the water reaches, or by the time you reach the tail end of the canal, the water availability reduces drastically. So tail end deprivation is another major issue which is being faced. Then water logging and salinity, we just discussed, someone had asked that. Decline in water table, groundwater. Most of our irrigation is happening through groundwater extraction. Excessive extraction has led to decline in groundwater table, wastage and inefficiencies in water use. We are using more than 80% of our water for what? Irrigation. We use more than 80% of water for irrigation, and most common type of irrigation is flood irrigation in India. And flood irrigation may most of the water is wasted. Similarly, in canals also around 44% of water is lost before entering the agricultural field. वो ग्राउंड वाटर रिचार्ज कैनाल्स के थ्रू कर रहा है, वो इवापोरेट हो जा रहा है. 44% of the water is not reaching agricultural field. Delay in modernization of agriculture, that is sprinklers and micro irrigation systems have not been ensured. Aging of infrastructure and increased siltation. Many of our dams are more than 100 years old. Several dams are more than. In disaster management, we will study a topic of dam safety. There we'll see that many of our dams are old and they create their own issues. यहाँ पे almost 60% of our total dams of the country are more than 3 decades old. Besides regular maintenance, many older structures need replenishment for which funds are constrained. Delay in project completion. We spoke about AIBP, Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program. It was launched so that 99 important projects which were delayed could be completed, but AIBP itself is delayed. It's been more than 25 years. यहाँ पे चलो AIBP, unless वो न्यूज में कुछ बड़ा आता है. Earlier I used to take AIBP also as a topic. What is AIBP? What has been its successes? What has been its failure? But recently, not a lot of discussion on it has happened, so I'm not taking it separately. But AIBP itself is facing several challenges. Then, because of this problem, there is increasing interstate water dispute. They say the major reason for Kaveri water dispute is the water scarcity. Dekho, this year monsoon was very good. You will not see Karnataka, Tamil Nadu fighting over Kaveri water. वो ईयर देख लेना जहां पे वाटर स्कैरसिटी हो और दोनों भाई लड़ रहे होंगे. We need more water. We need more water. So this is the challenge which is being created by irrigation system, lack of scarcity, and then climate change is emerging as another issue. It has increased the variability in rainfall and increased chances of floods and droughts. It has. अब देखो, variability in rainfall does not only impact those areas which are dependent on rainfall. It will impact even those areas which are not dependent on rainfall. Why? डैम्स में पानी कहां से आएगा? रेनफॉल से रिवर में पानी आएगा, पेनिनसुलर रिवर्स में तो एटलीस्ट, एंड डैम्स विल गेट वाटर फ्रॉम देयर. इफ देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ वेरिएबिलिटी, डैम्स में भी शॉर्टेज रहेगा एंड देयर विल बी इश्यूज. तो व्हाट आर द की चैलेंजेस? This kind of question can be asked in the examination, has been asked in 2024. These are the key issues, key concerns in the irrigation system. How do we deal with it? What is the way forward? First thing that we're saying is improving the implementation of accelerated irrigation benefit program. We're not studying it as a separate topic, but there are 3-4 major issues that accelerated irrigation benefit program, AIBP, is facing. We are talking about that. Improve work management, appropriate checks, fix accountability for deficiencies, mechanism to monitor due diligence of states. That is, once fund has been allocated, we need to improve monitoring. We need to ensure that states are using those funds to effectively implement those projects. We need to hold governments accountable. Else, जैसे पुराने डैम्स के प्रोजेक्ट, there were dam projects which were supposed to cost only 100 crore rupees, उस पे 2000 crore rupees spend हो चुके हैं. In AIBP, under AIBP, more money is being spent and almost no progress is there. Improving monitoring, use of satellite imagery and field report, strengthening the participatory model of irrigation through water users association to tackle various issues related to irrigation. Improving community participation, both in holding agencies accountable as well as monitoring the development of irrigation thing. Then we need to promote water efficiency. How do we promote water use efficiency? This is another challenge. How do we promote water use efficiency? By promoting precision agriculture, by promoting micro-irrigation, by rationalizing cost of electricity and cost of water. Canal water is almost free of cost. But if we start charging some money for that, water usage is going to become more efficient. Then water conservation initiatives like Jal Shakti Abhiyan needs to become more intensified. While Jal Shakti Abhiyan has done well, but we actually, it's good that Jal Shakti Abhiyan has functioned, but think of this building. This building is fulfilling all the norms. ये fire के सारे norms सब fulfill कर रहा है. But इस building में water conservation के लिए कितने initiatives? Rainfall would occur. Water will go on the roads, in the drain. So water conservation के लिए initiatives need to become more intensive so that the new buildings which are coming up, they have water harvesting facilities compulsorily provided for. They have a solar power panels installation compulsory. It gets implemented effectively. A solar power panel renewable energy wala topic ho jayega, but we need to intensify our water harvesting facilities. Then water conservation facilities. Crop diversification, reducing dependency on water intensive crops like sugarcane and rice. Research and development to develop crop varieties which can survive in less water condition. Farmers education and training to ensure farmers are aware of modern farming techniques, crop diversification, climate resilient agriculture, so that dependency on overuse of water, or overuse of water reduces dependency on irrigation. A lot of irrigation reduces and less water is being used. जाना है इतने सब पैक करने लगे ना, क्या करोगे फिर जाके? मजा आ रहा है? तुम पहले इंसान हो जिसको एग्रीकल्चर में मजा आ रहा है। नहीं, साइंस वगैरह में, साइंस अभी नहीं, मेंस में ना साइंस वगैरह इतने अच्छे से नहीं पढ़ पाते, जब प्रीलिम्स के लिए पढ़ोगे हम तो साइंस वगैरह जब पढ़ोगे, एनवायरमेंट वगैरह जब पढ़ोगे तो आई इंश्योर यू मजा आएगा। मेंस के लिए तो हमें ना 150 वर्ड्स 250 वर्ड्स में रुकना है। प्रीलिम्स में दे मे आस्क एनीथिंग, तो वी स्टडी एवरीथिंग इन अ वेरी सिस्टमैटिक मैनर, कनेक्टेड मैनर, तो आपको खुद मजा आता है। स्टार्स का फॉर्मेशन ऐसे कब जाने को किसने बोला? उसको मजा आ रहा है, उसको मजा तो देने दो थोड़ा। नाम क्या है? अखंड प्रताप को अखंड मजा आ रहा है। चलिए, अखंडानंद त्रिपाठी तो नहीं है? प्रधानमंत्री कृषि सिंचाई, नहीं चलो कल ही करते हैं, है ना, सिर्फ अखंडा के मजे के लिए हम सब लोग। ओके, आई सी यू टुमारो एट 5 PM, है ना, सॉरी 5:30 PM। विल स्टार्ट विद राइटिंग आंसर्स, एंड आंसर राइटिंग विल इंक्लूड एवरीथिंग दैट वी हैव कवर्ड सो फार। So between 2 to 5 tomorrow, ensure that you are going through all the 3 booklets. Not only the thing that we have studied today, but even 1 and 2. Keep on revising 1 and 2 again and again, so that it's prepared. It's very well prepared. Okay, thank you very much. Sir, AIBP is now a sub-scheme under PMKSY. Then should we write AIBP as a separate scheme? हाँ, definitely. PMKSY में उसे ना subsume नहीं कर लिया. It's a component under it, so you can write it as separate scheme. Done. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm leaving this